Hello, everybody. It is Sunday, July 12th, 2026, and this is episode 124 of the Old Mage MTG podcast. I am Old Mage Steve. This man right over there with me is Old Mage Alex.
Hello.
Thank you so much for joining us. Today, we're going to discuss a very special category of spells. These spells were first introduced as a design theme in the Odyssey block. They are colloquially known as the Punisher spells. We're also going to discuss spells from sets before and after Odyssey that, while not officially known as Punisher spells, still theme. But first, we have a word from a returning sponsor. This episode is brought to you by Sengir Diagnostics. Since its founding nearly 5 centuries ago by Baron Sengir, Sengir Diagnostics has been the leading name in diagnostic innovation. From routine blood work to the most advanced laboratory testing, physicians across the plane of Dominario know who to trust for all their blood diagnostic needs. Sengir Diagnostics, where science meets care. If you, the loyal listener, would like to support us more directly, you can become an official channel member on YouTube. Some people, they have all sorts of things they offer to their channel members, right? They have bonus content. We have none of that. They let you listen to released content earlier than others. We don't allow that. We just release everything free to the public at the same time. But what we do have is we have little wizard emojis you can put in the comments below. And then also we do something that nobody else does. Old Mage Alex curates a poem for every new channel member and reads it to you on the podcast. Nobody else does that. You can also click our TCG affiliate link. We have a TCG player affiliate link that you can find in the description below. Click that link next time you make your TCG purchase. The old mages get a little kickback. And if you say to me, Steve, I ain't got no money. You don't have money to spend on Magic the Gathering. You don't have money to support even your favorite content creators. You have other things you need to do with that cash. You don't need to spend money to support us. A like is free. Subscribing to the channel is free. If you don't like us, you can even leave hate comments for free in the comment section below. That drives the algorithm. So even if you hate us, if you let us know how much you hate us, it still supports us. Alex, do you have anything to say to listeners before we get on to segment 1?
No.
Not yet. Segment 1 is all about the Punisher spells of Odyssey block. What are the Punisher spells, you might ask? Well,
Punisher spells.
The Punisher spells, according to MTG Wiki, this is where I found this information, are a set of spells that force an opponent to decide how to punish themselves. So Punisher is slang that's used by the R&D team at Wizards of the Coast. And they usually are given a choice. So your opponent is usually given a choice between either 2 bad situations, like taking damage or discarding cards, or between something bad for them, like taking damage, and good for the spellcaster, like the spellcaster gets to draw cards. Those effects tend to be above rate. So if it's damage, you might be able to do 4 damage to your opponent just for 2 mana. But the downside is your opponent has the ability to choose which effect resolves. So most of the time, they're a good opponent. They're going to choose whatever is least punishing for them in the moment. When were these spells first printed? Well, according to Wizards of the Coast, the first true or classic Punisher spells were first printed in the Odyssey block and were in red. So if you don't remember, the Odyssey block is the 7th Magic the Gathering block, and it's composed of Odyssey, which is the large expansion in the block, and then 2 small expansions, Torment and Judgment. And this block came out in 2001 to 2002. So in addition to those canonical Punisher spells that were printed in the Odyssey block, there's a number of non-canonical Punisher spells. These are described on the MTG Wiki as well. It says some Punisher spells are either grossly weighted to one side or require a mana cost, both of which play very differently to classic Punisher spells. So we're going to start this episode by reviewing the Odyssey block Punisher spells. Then afterwards, review additional cards, many of which were printed prior to Odyssey that aren't part of the deliberate Punisher design theme, but they're mechanistically similar, and they've had this Punisher label applied to them retroactively. I was going through the list. There's a whole list of these on this MTG wiki down here, and it's broken up by color.
Oh,
there
wow.
were more than there were way more than I realized. So we're not going to be covering all these in this episode. We're just going to talk about the ones that were in the old frame sets from Alpha to Scourge. So these are ones that will be pre-modern legal, mostly pre-modern legal. And I'm just going to cover the rares and uncommons. So we're leaving out the new frame stuff. We're leaving out the commons. Maybe we'll come back around to those later in a future episode. So starting with Odyssey, I'm going to begin with a Punisher spell that I personally have played, Alex. And that Punisher spell is Lava Blister. Lava Blister is 1 colorless, 1 red. It's a sorcery, and it reads, destroy target non-basic land unless its controller has Lava Blister deal 6 damage to him or her. There are no reprints of this card. Its current market price is 34 cents. And Alex, it has a gatherer rating of 3.64. And you might ask, Alex, where did I find that rating?
Where did you find that rating?
Where did I find that rating? Gatherer's back. I found this website called regathered.com, re-gathered.com. If you remember, it was many months ago now that like Gatherer was just shut down. The Gatherer comments were shut down. And at that point, somebody, I think his name is Max Makes Magic or Max Loves Magic. I think it was Max Makes Magic. He saved all of the Gatherer comments. I don't know exactly how he did it, but he scraped the Gatherer website, saved all the comments, and then you could access all of the information in GitHub. But for somebody like me, and I think also you, Alex, we're not very technically savvy. I didn't really know how to parse all the information that was present in this GitHub. It like wasn't easily searchable. You couldn't just type in a card name and then pull up all the comments.
Some of it was like duplicated.
But people who did know what they were doing took all of the information that was present in that GitHub and put it into a website or easily searchable website. And that website is now available. It is called regathered.com. So if you just go in here and type in a card name, I'll just use Lava Blister. The card comes right up. And all the comments are down here. And the rating is right up here. Just like it used to be. I even like the rating section on Regathered better than the ratings on the original Gathered because it takes, I don't know if you remember, but for cards that were reprinted, they would have different ratings.
Right.
Yeah. Depending on what printing the people were discussing. But Regathered just combines the ratings from all the printings and assigns it one rating. And I like that better. I mean, there are reasons. I think there are some cases where the other the way would be better, but I prefer this.
It helps you eliminate some outlying ratings, from people looking at it from a specific time period, But yeah, that's pretty cool.
So Gather's back. I was excited about that. But back to Lava Blister. I ran this in the sideboard of a burn deck that I called Bellissimo Burn. Other people call it Bad Burn. It's pretty much a Punisher burn deck in pre-modern. And my plan was to bring it in against decks that were running a lot of non-basic lands. I was bringing in at least 3. So I would either run 3 or 4 of these in my sideboard. I'd bring in at least three after sideboarding, hoping that I would draw it early. Because that's really when you want to get this card in. You want to draw it early. Because destroying a non-basic land on turn 2 or 3, or dealing 6 damage if they couldn't afford to lose an early land drop, those are both good. Those are both good outcomes for the spellcaster. So you either slow them down or you deal 6 damage just for 2 mana. But guess what happened? You can guess what happened, Alex. I kept drawing it later when losing a non-basic wasn't really affecting the game.
Yeah. And then they're just going to opt to lose the land and not take the damage. And
then they're just going to opt to lose the land.
Yeah.
So
I
I
saw your
found
note about that, and I agree. Yeah, it definitely does taper off later in the game, but I still like it a lot.
there was this comment that was left on Gatherer by Bobth, Bobth, on August 16th, 2012. Just use this card on MWS. I don't know what that is. In a deck with Browbeat, Pain's Reward, Dash Hopes, Vexing Devil, Skull Scorch, Breaking Point. These are all different Punisher spells. Some pre-modern legal, some new frame. And others just for funsies. It really was the star of the deck for me. It's 6 damage for only 2 mana, which is just some of the most efficient burn out there. That is very exciting when you get that. I did get that once, and it felt good.
Yeah.
I lost the game, but I got it once. If someone said, and then in that game, I got the guy down to 1. And he was playing a control style deck. And once he was down to 1, then he cast Ivory Tower. And then the tides turned. The turns tabled Alex. If someone saves their land twice, they're at 8th health. Think about that. I thought about that. And I said, no one's going to save their land twice and take 12 damage. It's never going to happen. So that would be really sweet if you could deal 12 damage just for 4 mana with 2 spells, but that's never going to happen. Playing it in a non-silly burn deck will either get you the most burn for your buck possible or mess up your opponent's land drops extremely early in the game. Regarding that was my hope as well. But sometimes you just don't draw it early. And, having a card that's really great in the early game, you can always say sometimes you're just not going to draw it early. But some of those cards that are really great in the early game are worth mulliganing for. And in those cases, I still think it's good to run. Like you can run a play set of 4 cards that really only does much in the early game. But if it's so impactful in the early game that you can mulligan for it and still get it fairly often, or if you're playing it in a blue deck with a lot of card draw, a lot of card sorting, and still get it often, then it's worth it. But this card, it's not worth mulliganing for. And you're playing it in a burn deck with no card draw, no card sorting. It just turns out to be a bummer in my hand mid-game. That's been my experience. I do like it, but I don't like it as much as I did when I first saw it after playing.
It's hard to, like, you have to commit to having like 4 of them in the deck, So now it's like, what am I giving up for that? So what I'm wondering about is his comment about not putting it in land destruction. And I sort of see where he's coming from, but I'm also kind of like,
I want to play in a land destruction deck in case they don't pick that auction. But in a burn deck, the other one helps you out. I kind of get that because in a land destruction deck, you really need your land destruction plan to work.
Yes,
you don't want to give them
if they're stopping you, if they're thwarting you from destroying land by absorbing damage, that's not really what you want to be doing.
Those are my thoughts on Lava Blister. Any additional comments, Alex? Or we're going to go to the next one?
No, I don't know. I'm still thinking about it, but I think I agree mostly with all of this. Yeah.
It's an interesting card. Worth playing sometimes just for fun. Next Punisher spell, printed in the Odyssey block, is Molten Influence. I think I'm going to abandon MTG stocks because it's going slow again. Molten Influence. I think we're going to go to Scryfall, Alex. It's going too slow. I think it's time for Scryfall. It's time for Scryfall. Molten Influence on Scryfall. Molten Influence is 1 colorless, 1 red. It is an instant, and it reads, counter target instant or sorcery spell unless its controller has Molten Influence, deal 4 damage to him or her. So it's a red spell that can counter an instant or sorcery or deal 4 damage for 2. This is a rare from Odyssey. It has 0 reprints and a current market price of $5.70 and a gather rating of 3.78. So that was quite high. What did I have to say about this card? I look at this card and I think, I saw it in some other Punisher decks. I never thought about putting it in mine. I saw it in some other Punisher decks, and I was kind of surprised. Because I think many of the things you would want to counter with this spell, other instants and sorceries, can already be Red Elemental Blasted. So why not play Red Elemental Blast? That's just one
Yeah.
mana.
Mhm.
Now, not everything, Red Elemental Blast is going to blast a Swords to Plowshares, and this could counter Swords to Plowshares. But I think many of the things you're going to want to counter can be blasted. And then I look at the other effect, 4 damage for 2. I think that's just not enough. It's not enough for me to play the Punisher spell. If I'm going to let my opponent choose which effect resolves, I want the damage part of the effect to be bigger. This has been my experience. I want to punish them more, and 4 damage for 2 just isn't enough. I say take 6 or GTFO, Alex. Take 6 or GTFO. I've never considered playing this one in my bad burn deck. I'm surprised it's rated so high. Do you have anything to say, Alex?
I read your comment and I was like agreeing with all of this stuff that you're saying now. But then I don't know, then it did an about face. And I was kind of like, I don't know. Unlike the lava blister, it doesn't become weaker later in the game. In fact, it might become stronger later in the game. In
Okay.
that case, obviously they're going to opt to take the 4 damage, but you're still getting a really efficient 4 damage spell. It's only going to help you if you have something else to do that turn in addition to it, probably. You know, but if you're
You got to
already
keep the
hurting
mana
them a
open for
lot
it too, though.
and they're close
You
to
say you
dying,
you, you say that it's something that's going to help you if you only have something else to do that turn too. So that means you got to keep the mana open for it also.
yeah,
That's the other thing. Like an instant that's going to counter in a burn deck where you're going to be tapping out a lot. You got to keep the mana open for it.
yeah,
Although there are a lot of
it's
things
a
that you can
counter.
do in the burn deck to deal damage that you can wait to do on your opponent's end step also. So
Yeah, and like later
not
in
the
the
worst.
game, you might have less to do. You might be emptying out your hand. It won't be so bad to keep the mana open. It is a counter in red, and like you said, it doesn't just counter blue cards. Awesome to be able to counter a white or green card. Um, I guess I don't know. I'd like to play around with it at least, and I could see changing my sideboard so that I had like this and the elemental blast, and I could like flip them around if I wanted.
Yeah.
Or if you want more than the 4 base counters.
Yeah. When would you
That's a
want
lot of
that?
counters though for like a burn
I'm
deck.
trying to think. I mean, there are definitely times where you want more than 4 uh, counters, and you
Yeah.
can get that in the burn in pre-modern by running Red Elemental Blast and Pyroblast. And there are times where you would want that against like the Dreadnought deck, for
Yeah.
instance. But
Well,
then
plus
when
elemental
you're
blast is
facing,
for his permanence, so it's not just a counter. Like you could be using it for that.
that's also true, yes.
Yeah. Sorry, go ahead.
And if you want to bring in more anti-blue or anti-instant counter magic into your burn deck too, I mean the first deck I would think that you would want it against is the Dreadnought deck. And against that deck, you don't want to give them the choice here. They'll happily take the 4 damage and put the 12 trample on the
Yes.
ground
Yeah.
when you try to Molten Influence their
Yeah, I think I agree with you
Stifle
there.
or Vision Charm. So
Against like Dreadnought, it's really not helping you to just like get that 4 damage in, as opposed to having like a solution for what they're doing.
I would think Swords to Plowshares would be the best target for this. And then what do you want to do? You want to save your Grim Lavamancer, you want to save your Ball Lightning. They'll probably just take the 4, and then you've got a slightly more efficient Incinerate to point at their face. It's
Yeah.
not terrible, but it just didn't pack enough of a punch for me. That's my thought.
Yeah. I'd like to play with it just to see. But yeah, I see
I
your
would have
for sure.
I would have bought them and maybe played around with them a little bit, but right when I was building the Punisher burn deck, these went up a lot in price. I think it was around that time.
I saw some of these cards getting some attention.
5. Yeah, I didn't know why. I didn't know why this one went up so much. It's not like Goofy Punisher burn decks took off all of a sudden. But I was buying these cards for like 25 cents, 50 cents. It wasn't all of a sudden, really. It was pretty steady. Yeah, I just didn't want to pay over $5 for this,
That I agree with you.
which is a big part of the reason I haven't tried it out. Anyways, next Punisher spell, Alex. After Molten Influence. Another one that I haven't played with at all. Blazing Salvo, Alex. Blazing Salvo. This is 1 red. I like that. Instant. I like that. It reads Blazing Salvo deals 3 damage to target creature unless that creature's controller has Blazing Salvo deal 5 damage to him or her. It is a common from Odyssey. It has reprints in dual decks, Sorin versus Tybalt or Tybalt. I don't know how to pronounce that. I don't know that character yet. Current market price of 21 cents and a gather rating of 3.89. What did I have to say about this card? Well, I looked at this card and I thought it's exactly like Lightning Bolt, just without the versatility that makes Lightning Bolt a truly great card. But other than that, it's exactly like Lightning Bolt. When I was looking around for other people's comments on this card, I found a website, Alex. Somebody's little blog. It's Magic the Gathering Conservative. This was an unusual blog name. Wasn't sure what to make about that, but I read a little bit of his blog because he had a section, or he had a blog post called Punisher Cards Review. And I thought this one little blurb from him was kind of funny because it really reminded me of the early days of Magic when you're a kid, just trying to like collect enough cards to put together a serviceable deck.
Yeah.
He said in reference to this card, for years, I would put this in my red decks because I didn't have any lightning bolts and buying cards online was a risky thing my parents wouldn't let me do. So I used this instead. This was a big deal, putting your credit card information on the internet somewhere. Now everything's on the dark web. It doesn't matter. I'll put anything, anywhere. Anything, anywhere. It doesn't matter. You want my social security number? Huh?
May as well just walk around naked at this point.
I do all the time in front of my webcam, and that's all collected and put on the dark web. Everybody knows that. So I thought this was funny. He was like, my parents wouldn't let me do it, so I use this instead. It's actually pretty good. 5 damage hurts pretty bad if your opponent is willing to pay the life, and 3 damage to a creature kills most early threats. Yeah. What's hilarious is when you have 2 in your hand, cast 1, and your opponent pays the life, and then you cast another, and he's not really sure if he wants to just let the creature die or go down to half his starting life on turn 2. So this would be this is like a lava blister. I think this is something that does really become handy when you draw 1 or 2 like really early, because then that really gets them thinking. Like they have an important 1-drop they put down on the ground or on the battlefield, right? Let's just say it's a bird, right? Birds of paradise. Your opponent goes forest, birds of paradise. You go red or a mountain, blazing salvo. Everybody knows you bolt the bird, right? You bolt the bird. That's the tempo play to make. So then your opponent is probably going to want to say, I keep the bird maybe. And you got to take the 5 damage. Then all of a sudden they're down to 15 and you're playing a burn deck.
That's pretty strongly against my instincts. I feel like I'd just let the bird die.
That's crazy.
Me personally, that's me.
It might not be crazy.
No, I agree with you. I'm not arguing. I'm just saying that's the decision I think I make in that situation. But
why? Tell me why.
Oh, I don't know. I don't want to.
I don't know why either, Alex. Here's why my instinct is to say I keep the bird and take the 5, because everybody knows you bolt the bird.
Right.
If bolting the bird is the good thing to do, it makes me want to keep the bird.
But you have to.
Now it also depends.
What if it was 7?
Then I kill the bird.
Yeah. So like, is 5 too much? Like, if it's 4, okay, I keep the bird. I think it depends on how much you need that bird in that game too. It's like, is this my only way to generate like one of the colors of mana that I need right now, or do I have a backup land?
If I have 2 more elves or something, or a bird or an elf in my hand, then I let the bird die.
Yeah.
But yeah, most of the time, I want to keep the bird. But I think it makes your opponent think.
That's what I was.
Which is the point.
Squarely in the field of like making them make an uncomfortable decision.
Yes, which is the point of the Punisher cards. Yeah. Often, though, it's easy for the opponent to make the decision, to know what the right decision is. I think a Blazing Salvo, an early turn Blazing Salvo, it's harder to know what the right decision is to make.
Yeah, and there's a lot of Lightning Bolt clones to choose from and stuff, but if you're stacking more, you have your Lightning Bolts and you want to add this on with them, that seems pretty decent to me.
Mm-hmm.
Then you
So I've
get to
never
opt.
played this one personally.
Huh?
I've
Oh
never
yeah.
played this one personally. I happened to just not have Blazing Salvos when I was putting together my burn deck, my Punisher burn deck. But it's an interesting choice. I'm not sure exactly what to make of it yet.
You might have to be swapping it in and out. You're gonna play against creatureless decks, and you're gonna play against decks where
That's the
this
problem.
doesn't matter as much. Some decks have like really powerful utility creatures and not too many of them, and you might want these against that deck, but like you're not going to be really needing it to nuke like little weenie creatures or something.
It's good that you say that. Like some decks are going to have some decks are going to be creatureless decks, or they're going to be decks with like very few creatures, and those creatures might all have toughness greater than 3.
Yeah.
Or it might be a control based deck that kills you with like Decree of Justice by cycling out a bunch of 1/1s, and oh great, you get to bolt 1/1/1. Which is why which is a good reason why I didn't hunt these down and put them in my Punisher burn deck, because really, because of what we just said, it's a sideboard card and it's not good enough to make the sideboard.
Yeah, I feel like, yeah, the more I think about it, I'd probably just like pass on it because there's plenty of other burn spells. There are
Yeah.
spells that are more versatile and you can do different things with them, and you can still have some Punisher cards in the deck. You know,
Mm-hmm. So let's pass on Blazing Salvo, Alex, and go to the next Punisher card from the Odyssey block. We've made our way to Torment. We are now discussing Flaming Gambit from Torment. This is 1 red X. It is an instant, and it reads Flaming Gambit deals X damage to target player. That player may choose a creature he or she controls and have Flaming Gambit deal that damage to it instead. It also has flashback. Flashback is 2 red and X. There are no reprints of this card, and its current market price is 19 cents. It has a gather rating of 1.91.
oh,
I think that might be the lowest damn gather rating of the episode, and I think it's deserved. This is direct damage that your opponent gets direct instead of you, and it's not above rate. I understand your low
yeah,
rating, even though you can flash it back.
yeah. You're still just getting like, a fireball adjacent card. And I don't know enough about all the different options there to weigh it against them, but there's different ones to choose from. Uh, flashback's cool, but uh, you can really only use it if they're playing like a creatureless deck or some kind of deck where like they're relying on a few very important 4 toughness creatures or something.
Yeah, it's just not worth it. It doesn't get any play, and that's why it's 19 cents, even though it hasn't been reprinted ever. Flaming Gambit. That's enough of that flaming piece of shit, Alex. We're on to the next Punisher spell from Torment. Longhorn Fire
Oh,
Beast.
Longhorn.
It's been a long time since I've been to Longhorn Steakhouse, Alex. I used to get burgers from there fairly
Okay.
often. They're pretty good burgers for
Yeah.
restaurant
I
burgers.
used to
Yeah.
get some
For
burgers
a
from
chain
Longhorn.
restaurant, but
Yeah, but I'm
tasty.
pretty anti-chain restaurants, but every once in a while, you opt for a comfort pick or something,
It was
something
right there
tasty.
next to our house. It was close
And
by.
I was fine with Longhorn. I also haven't been to them in many years, but I think they had a blue cheeseburger.
I hate blue cheese.
Really?
Never got into it.
Yeah.
Longhorn Fire Beast is 2 colorless, 1 red. It is a common from Torment. It's a creature beast, and it reads when Longhorn Fire Beast comes into play, any opponent may have it deal 5 damage to him or her. If a player does, sacrifice Longhorn Fire Beast. It has
Okay.
no reprints, current market price of a dime, and a gather rating of 2.68.
Okay.
What did I have to say when I saw this card? I said, no one's going to take the 5.
No one's gonna.
Then
That's
you're
what
going
I
to
thought.
then you're going to pay 3 mana for a creature that dies to everything.
Yeah.
No one's going to take it.
Yep.
And when I say die to everything, I mean like literally. It dies to a shock. It dies to anything that can deal 2 damage or remove a creature. It dies to everything. From the Annals of Gatherer, Paleo Paladin chimed in June 18th, 2011 said, "Don't know why this card is rated so low." That's crazy. That's crazy, man. Why assume that your opponent will always make the right choice?
Well,
Please reprint in a core set! Exclamation point. I want to enjoy goofy 15-year-olds choosing to take the 5 damage at my local game store's draft sealed. And I said, okay, this guy just really likes Punisher cards. He just really likes to do this.
yeah, he likes
And he's just
fun.
waiting for that one moment where a teenager makes the wrong choice. And then he revels in it for the rest of the night. On to the next Punisher card, Alex, unless you have anything to add about Longhorn Fire Beast.
No, I think you said it. Yeah.
Now we're moving on to a rather punishing Punisher spell, Alex. This is the one that got me on the Punisher kick. You showed me this one, and I was like,
this one's good.
This one got me thinking. It's 2 red sorcery, and it reads, did I say it was Skull Scorch? It's 2 red sorcery. It's Skull Scorch. And it reads, target player discards 2 cards at random from his or her hand, unless that player has Skull Scorch, deal 4 damage to him or her. Yeah. It's a rare from Torment. It has no reprints. Current market price of 53 cents and a gather rating of 4.07. Alex, you're chomping at the bit, it seems like, to say something about Skull Scorch.
Fair price for starters.
Fair price, yeah.
But they're always going to take the 4, right? Who isn't going to take the 4?
You'd be surprised. That's what I thought too.
Yeah. At the beginning of the game?
I played it. Very beginning of the game.
At the beginning of the game? Did people
very beginning of the game
opt to lose 2 cards instead of paying 4?
Very beginning of the game. I'll tell you where in what situations this bit me.
Oh, okay. All right. I can start to think now, yeah, like if that maybe helps them or something, if they're playing a graveyard deck.
Not even, but that's even worse.
Yeah.
That's even worse, yeah. So I saw this card, it might be my favorite Punisher spell. I enjoy it. Both modes are strong. When you read it, I think the initial reading to most people is it's either a Hymn to Torak in red or it's 4 damage for 2 mana in red, which is also good, even though that's what red does, is deal damage. It's still above rate.
Yeah.
But again, like all Punisher spells, it's going to be the one that they're going to take the one that's least damaging to them at any given time. Sometimes you're going to draw it when their hand is empty. That's happened to me before. Yeah. And then I read this comment from the Annals of Gatherer, or in this case, Regather, and then it made me think about my experience playing this card so far. So I'm going to read the comment first. This is a comment left by I Use Break Open on February 27th, 2013. He said, I made a mono red Punisher deck back when these cards were first introduced. That's what I did too, but not when they were first introduced. I just did it like 3 months ago. I still have the deck and I bring it out when I'm playing against someone new to Magic. Skull Scorch, like the deck it's in, is fun and underpowered. Hymn to Torak, like all sorcery speed discard, is bad late game because your opponent keeps his hand empty by playing each turn's draw before you can discard it. People put up with this drawback because the 2-for-1 is so powerful when it works, and it is. Skull Scorch has the same drawback, but doesn't ever give you the 2-for-1. It will always be either a one-sided Flame Rift or a dead card. Most of the time, it will be a dead card. So this guy says it doesn't ever give you the 2-for-1. And Alex, that was your thought, right?
Yeah.
Right. They're never going to lose the cards. In my experience, my limited experience playing this card, sometimes it does give you the 2-for-1. And this is where it's bitten me. I've played this card against people playing control decks, right? Let's say Blue-White Standstill, for instance. That was one of them specifically. And I started off the game by casting this spell. Turn 2, boom, Skull Scorch. He looked at his hand for a little bit and he was like, I'll just lose 2 cards. So I took 2 cards. I was like, this is great. But the problem is when you take 2 cards from the control player, and this is what he knew when he took the 2 cards, if they can get through my early game, they're going to establish control, eventually establish card advantage, and get the inevitable win. He just needed to last through the initial salvo of the burn player before he could out advantage me. And that's exactly what he did. He established control. He eventually gained card advantage and eventually won.
And he's probably used to playing against black discard, so he knows how many cards he can afford to lose early on.
That's true. There's a lot of black discard these days, and pre-modern Moneyball Black is huge. You're dealing with discard all the time. And speaking about black discard, I'll say I made a note here. Black discard, including him, is really only as good as it is because you have a critical mass of other discard effects
Yeah,
and or something like the rack that can convert that discard into
just
damage.
one him to Turak doesn't really do anything. Yeah,
Exactly. It's something one him to Torak they can recover from. And
three
that's
turns
been my
later, it doesn't matter
experience.
anymore. Yeah.
Exactly. That's been my experience with Skull Scorch.
Okay.
Even if they take the 2-for-1, they if they're playing certain decks, they can recover from it. I didn't have a critical mass. You don't have a critical mass of discard in this Punisher Burn deck to really strip their entire hand, to really cripple them at the beginning. And you're getting this 2-for-1 early in the game, but you're not doing damage yet.
Yeah.
Meanwhile, they're one turn closer to pulling their Circle Protection red.
My one thought about this, and I think one of the things I did with it when I first saw it was try to think about it for a red black deck.
Mm-hmm.
Then you have extra discard effects, which maybe you don't need, but you're also into now like a 2 red casting cost spell in a the 2 color deck, which gets harder.
Yeah,
Um, what I do like is that if they, depending on which decision it makes their decision harder because you have reanimation spells maybe. So if they're discarding cards like early game, you get to steal them.
you can steal something with anybody dead, or yeah.
Um,
Yeah, I
but
haven't tried it in that situation. It might be more interesting in a machine head style discard red black deck.
harder to
Would be
cast
more
it.
interesting.
You have a
Harder to
2 red
cast.
spell. So
Okay, Alex. Skull Scorch. I do still like it though. We're on to Judgment, Alex. Now the Punisher spells, they were printed in Judgment. I said I was just going to talk about the commons and uncommons. I am still talking about uh actually the Odyssey block spells. I am covering the commons here. It's when we're going to get to the
Bow Punisher.
non-conventional, yeah,
Yeah.
the faux Punisher cards. Just going to cover the rares and the uncommons. Barbarian Bully. This is the next one. This was a Punisher spell printed in Judgment. Barbarian Bully is 2 colorless, 1 red. It's a creature barbarian. It's 2/2, and it reads: discard a card at random from your hand. Barbarian Bully gets +2/+2 until end of turn, unless a player has Barbarian Bully, deal 4 damage to him or her. Play this ability only once each turn. Common from Judgment, no reprints, current market price of 12 cents. Every time you see these situations where a card was printed once, like 20 years ago, and it's still just 10 cents, you know it's a banger. Unless you know it's a banger. A gather rating of 2.63.
They
What did I have
never
to
felt
say
like
when I saw this
reprinting
card?
it. It's never gone up in
But
value.
yeah. What did I say about this card when I first saw it? Can attack with a 4/4 on turn 4. That's the best you get out of it. And you lose a card at random.
Well,
Nearly every, hold on,
okay.
1 second. Nearly every card in a red deck that you're going to lose will represent more than 2 damage. That's my thought. So it's
Yeah.
not worth it to lose them for +2/+2.
I see. I feel like your best case scenario is like later in the game, you're pitching, you have like a hand that's like 2 land, Uh, so you're pitching those to it. And you can pitch more than one in a turn, so that's okay. But, now you're comparing it to like a curse scroll or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and what I don't like is its base stats compared to its casting cost. Even with like the ability is not so bad, you could use that ability to push through some damage to finish a game. But it's just a 2/2, without doing anything to it. And it's 3 mana. I don't know. I just like to see it be bigger than a 2/2.
No, it's a wimp. It's not a bully. And ever since the
Yeah.
days of Balduvian hordes, I haven't had any luck with these red spells that have you discard random cards. It's
Yeah.
tough. It's
Yeah.
tough. Not worth it to run the barbarian bully. That's my opinion.
Do you know what I am saying?
Alex.
I do.
Next one. Next Punisher spell, also from Judgment. This Punisher spell is called Book Burning. Book burning.
Yeah.
It's 1 colorless, 1 red. Sorcery. And then it reads, unless a player has book burning, deal 6 damage to him or her. These are the Punisher spells I like, where it's like 2 casting costs,
5 or 6 damage,
maybe 6 damage. You figure it out. So unless a player has book burning, deal 6 damage to him or her. Put the top 6 cards of target player's library into his or her graveyard. Common from Judgment, reprints none. Current market price of 17 cents. Gather rating of 3.09. I love the 6 damage for 2. That's one thing I had to say about this. But then I said, no one's going to take the 6 damage.
No, they're gonna mill.
No one's ever going to take the 6 damage. Yeah. So I'm like, what do you do with this? Well, I guess obviously there's not a lot of use here. Again, it's a card. It was printed in Judgment, hasn't been reprinted since, and it's still only 17 cents. So people aren't running out to play this in a lot of their decks.
No.
But there is maybe one edge case for it. It will get you Threshold. And maybe you want that in certain Threshold decks. Mill yourself, Alex.
Okay. Yeah, I didn't think about it in that way.
Mill yourself, bitch.
Watch your profanity.
After looking at this card, I started looking at different Threshold spells, right, that are available to red, and there still really aren't many. So I'm not going to be building a Threshold deck with book burning in it. Maybe a green-red sort of mid-range style Threshold deck might be interesting. Don't know. I haven't looked that much into it.
Yeah, Threshold's not really like a red thing, huh?
No. I did find this spell, though, when I was looking at the Threshold spells in red. Lightning Surge, which not amazing because the casting cost is high. But I hate Circle Protection Red so much that I'm interested potentially in trying it out. Lightning Surge is 3 colorless, 2 red. It's a rare from Judgment. It's a sorcery, and it reads, Lightning Surge deals 4 damage to target creature or player. If you have Threshold, instead, Lightning Surge deals 6 damage to that creature or player, and the damage can't be prevented. And it also has Flashback for 5 colors and 2 red. So it's a lot. But, maybe a way to push through your last 6 damage in a red burn deck through a cop red. By the time you are able to cast a 5 casting cost spell in red, you're probably going to have 6 cards in your graveyard. So you're probably going to have Threshold, or at least be very close to it.
And they're going to have the cop red down. It's going to be later in the game when it's established and they have mana to use it and everything.
So my thought is this card probably isn't pretty good, or it's probably not very good, or else it would be more than 50 cents by now. A rare from Judgment, never been reprinted. People have probably tried this out well before me and just been like, I just never get to cast it. Or I do cast it for the 5 mana, and then they just counter it by that time because they have 2 blue up and they have multiple counter spells in their hand as we're that far into the game.
Yeah.
So it's just my dream. I just want a bunch of different ways to get through cop red.
I gotcha.
Anyways, on to, would you have anything else to say about book burning, Alex?
Yeah.
Okay.
Also, like Skull Scorch, I thought about pairing this with black. I like the idea of being able to make them mill 6 and then steal a creature that they've put into their graveyard. That seems fun. I think the problem is sort of like you were suggesting, though, is that the mill strategy just in pre-modern isn't a real strong strategy. There's not a lot of cards
really.
To, I don't know, go with this or support it. So I think it's just it's fair. It's well priced and everything for its effects. It's just it doesn't have a lot of support to do that thing. And the black thing, dumping stuff into their graveyard to steal it. It's a clunky combo, but it seems fun to me.
You love that shit, though.
I do.
Every card that puts a creature in the graveyard, you're like, I can animate that shit. Yeah, I can do that. That's all right. Everybody has to have a thing. If that's your thing, that's a good thing to have.
So I think I lost it now.
What are you looking for, Alex?
I was trying to make a deck with this, with Altars of Dementia.
Okay.
Animation spells, different red, black, good stuff. I don't know. It's probably pretty bad, but anyways.
I spelled dementia wrong. Is that a sign? Is it happening to me? I'm forgetting stuff all the time, Alex.
I keep forgetting.
You know, I keep saying that all the time.
I keep forgetting.
On to the next Punisher spell. I said Skull Scorch might be my favorite. This competes with Skull Scorch in my heart.
Okay.
The next one is Breaking Point. I was very excited when I saw this spell. It is 1 colorless, 2 red. It's a sorcery, and it reads, destroy all creatures unless a player has Breaking Point, deal 6 damage to him or her. Creatures destroyed this way can't be regenerated. So rare from Judgment. It has 1 reprint in dual decks, Sorin versus Tybalt, a current market price of 52 cents, and a gather rating of 3.97. So the Hive Mind enjoys it too. It's easily one of my favorite Punisher cards. My thought when I first saw this is it's best in a low creature or creatureless burn deck, which is exactly what I used in, and it's best against go wide decks, which you face often enough that there's definitely a space for spells like this in your sideboard. I have personally used it to clear a horde of goblins that would have killed me next turn, but instead I cleared them out with Breaking Point and then killed my opponent. 6 damage is a lot to take versus a burnt deck, right?
Yeah,
so you might be like, I don't want to. What are you going to say?
Oh, sorry. It's not useless against bigger creatures either. Like they might opt to take the damage to, like, not lose their valuable creature or whatever, but it might be enough to help push you over the edge.
That's the other thing. There are cards, plenty of creatures with toughness greater than 3 that burn decks have a hard time dealing with. Creatures greater than 4 burn decks have a hard time dealing with. Exalted Angels, Terravores. Those are the first 2 that come to my mind. Dreadnought, there's other more efficient ways to deal with that in red, just like Overload and Artifact Destruction, things like that. But
yeah,
Terravores and Angels. And you might be like, this is what I did with this spell, though, and this is why I run it and what I like to do with it. And it doesn't work all that often, but when it does, it feels good. You might be like, oh, they're not gonna sacrifice their angel. They're just gonna take the 6 damage, and then next turn they're gonna swing and hit you for 4 and gain 4 life back. So they're gonna build that back. But fine, take the 6 damage, which is dangerous to do against a burn deck, because at any time a burn deck can go, okay, you take 6, and then I sacrifice 2 mountains and I fire blast you, and then the game's over because you've just taken 10 very quickly. That's what I got to do that once. It was exciting. This is a fair and balanced assessment that I found on the Regather website from another user. They say, a fun card for kitchen table magic. I use this in a Punisher deck that I pull out when I play inexperienced players, but it will probably never see play in competitive Eternal formats. People blame the Punisher mechanic for this card's weakness, but that's only one of the many reasons this card is lacking. Breaking Point, like most board wipes, is worthless against most combo decks and is weak against control decks, which diversify their permanent types. This is true, which is why I think I had 1 in my main board, and then I had, depending on when I was playing the deck, I had 1 or 2 others in my sideboard. I would sideboard them out against, of course, decks that they didn't do much against the first game. If I was playing like goblins or elves or something, I would sideboard more in for games 2 and 3. It only works against creature heavy decks. Unfortunately, the Punisher mechanic only works in aggressive decks, so you end with a board full of Goblin Guides and Griv-Lavancers and a Breaking Point in your hand, wondering if losing all your creatures is worth getting rid of 2 turn-points. I've tried running Breaking Point in a creatureless deck, but I have not been able to make it work. But that's exactly what I did. I mean, I was running an unusual burn deck that wasn't creatureless, but it was almost creatureless, which made Breaking Point like a very nice spell for me. I was running Ball Lightnings and Mog Fanatics. So Ball Lightnings, of course, die after they attack. And then Mog Fanatics, you can sacrifice at any point just to hit your opponent in the face for 1 damage. Yeah. In addition to that, the only other creatures I ran were Grim Lavamancer because it's just too good to not run. So occasionally I would lose my Grim Lavamancer. But, I was running this in an almost creatureless burn deck, and it was pretty nice because here's how I was playing it. If I had an opening hand with Breaking Point, or if I drew Breaking Point like turn 2, I would just start pointing my burn straight to their face. So it gave me that opportunity. Because with the burn deck, this is the decision you have to make a lot. Okay, do you use their burn to start picking off creatures on their board, or you go straight to face? This is what you always have to think about. And I'm not good at making that decision yet.
Yeah.
So I was running this kind of unusual deck where I was like, okay, if I see a breaking point early on, I can just start pointing burn directly to face. And then they're left in a situation where, like, by turn 5 or whatever, they have to destroy their creatures. They can't take 6. They don't have 6 left because you've been able to point all the burn at their face.
Yeah, it plays right into the burn strategy already. It's 3 mana, potential board wipe, or I like that it's 3 mana a lot. And yeah, I think ultimately you have to overload them when you're playing a deck like that. You have to figure out how you're going to overwhelm them with your damage, and having the choice between a board wipe and 6 damage, I feel like is as close to a win-win as you're going to get out of like a Punisher style card, right? Like it's pretty.
Yeah.
It can help you a lot for that style of deck, I guess is what I'm trying to say. For the style of deck you're talking about, a creatureless burn deck, like it fits in well.
So I enjoy it. I know your opponent gets to make a decision, but I still enjoyed the card. It's strong for a Punisher card, I think. The next one out. So we're going to move on to the next one. This is the one that gets the most play, at least in pre-modern. It might have been the one that got the most play back in the day too when it was first printed, because it's the one I see, articles written about or mentioned in articles from that
This
era.
was the first one I learned about, I think.
It's also, you can see how many times it's reprinted compared to all the other Punisher cards too.
Yeah.
So I think this is the one people like. It is Browbeat, 2 colorless, 1 red sorcery. Unless a player has Browbeat, deal 5 damage to him or her. Target player draws 3 cards. I'm going to say something real quick that I forgot to say about Breaking Point. This is another reason I like Breaking Point. It adds an interesting dimension to the red deck. So like Browbeat, Breaking Point allows you to do something that the red deck usually can't do.
Yeah.
Browbeat allows you to get rid of, Breaking Point allows you to get rid of really big creatures. A Tarmogoyf, Exalted Angel, a bunch of beasts trample in your way. Like Breaking Point, Browbeat allows you to do something red can't normally do. It gives you the ability to draw some cards.
Yeah.
So it's an uncommon from Judgment. It has reprints and Time Shifted, Plane Chase, Masters 25, Dual Deck, Soren and Tybalt, and Premium Deck Series, Fire and Lightning. There's some other reprints here too. It might be online reprints though, additional ones. What's this? Friday Night Magic 2009 foil. This is crazy. This looks like a character from the Hellraiser universe.
Yeah. Now we're talking. Looks like Bruce Willis as a Hellraiser demon.
It does, yeah. It's $2.03. Browbeat has a gather rating of 3.54 and a current market price for the original printing of 45 cents. Mm-hmm. What did I have to say about Browbeat? It's a decent card. It's the Punisher that probably sees the most play. At least it's the one that I run into when I play pre-modern. But I've barely played it, and this is my fear. This was my fear with Browbeat, and I've barely played it, and this has already happened to me. I've barely played it, and I've run into a case where I would have won the game if I had drawn a burn spell instead of Browbeat. Any burn spell instead of Browbeat, instead of this. But I had Browbeat. They didn't take the 5, of course, because it would have killed them. I drew the 3 cards, and then I had to pass the turn, even though I drew into burn spells. I had to pass the turn because I didn't have the mana to play what I just drew into. So I'd say just try to play another burn spell if you can fit it into Browbeat. That's been my experience.
Or at the very least, maybe shy away from playing 4 copies in your deck,
Oh, definitely not. I would just go 1.
Smaller number so you're not jamming yourself up with them.
4 copies is insane, Alex, unless you want to jam yourself up. Unless you want to be all jammed up. From the Annals of Gatherer. The Bringer, September 18th, 2013, said, whether it's positive or negative, I don't understand the people talking about this giving the opponent the choice. You're running this in mono red burn, exclamation point. When you get them down to 4 or so and are completely out of gas, you use this to refuel and finish them because they can't take the 5. I know, Bringer, they can't take the 5, but then you cast Browbeat and you use 3 mana and you don't have the mana to cast what you draw into, and they have to pass the turn and they kill you on the next turn.
Yeah.
Ah.
Do you know what I'm saying?
Do you? It's a decent card, though. It's still a decent card. And I can't tell you it's not worth running just as a one-off in a burn deck. It's decent. It's decent. Do you have anything else you want to say about Browbeat?
I don't think so.
Okay, Alex, we're moving on to the next Punisher card from the Odyssey block. We're getting towards the end of the Punishers from the Odyssey block. This one is Dwarven Driller. It's 3 colorless, 1 red. It's a creature dwarf. He has a drill. He's 2/2. And the card reads, tap, destroy target land unless its controller has Dwarven Driller, deal 2 damage to him or her. Mm-hmm. It's an uncommon from Judgment. It has no reprints. Current market price 58 cents and a gather rating of 3.83. I've never played this card. I wasn't familiar with this card, but when I first saw it, I thought, I really like this card. It's 4 mana, which is its downside.
Yeah.
Right. But it's repeatable land destruction or repeatable damage. Both are good.
And it's a 2/2 instead of a 1/1, which it might be for doing something like this.
Yeah. It is underpowered for a red deck. So it starts to deal, here's the problem. It starts to deal 2 damage a turn by turn 5. Unless you have haste out, right? Yeah. So that's a problem.
The casting cost is really what makes me shy away from this card.
It's the casting cost. But
and then, a turn where it's not doing anything before you can start tapping it.
It looks, so this, I'm saying this as somebody who has not played any dedicated land destruction decks in pre-modern. It looks interesting to me in a land destruction. I know there are lots of options in those decks already, and they're not 4 mana. And as we learned from Zvi Maushevich when we were reading his Fires of Yavimaya articles a long time ago, I think this was in his Fires articles, might have been some other articles. If you're going to play something that's forecasting costs, this is at the competitive level, of course, it better have the ability to end the game. Dwarven Driller is not going to do that.
No.
So, maybe not the most competitive levels, but is it still like decent for a kitchen table land destruction deck? My instinct is yes, but I would need to play around with it a little bit. I'd like to try it in a mono red Ponza. Might end up taking it out, but I'd like to try it because, you can have other options to destroy lands in the early game. And you're like, oh, I can't do anything with this until turn 5. But if you've hit them effectively with your land destruction on like turns 2 and 3, you might have bought yourself some time to bring out some of these higher casting cost cards. And if this is able to sit on the board, every land they play, you're going to be able to either do damage or take out another land. And it's not just non-basic land, it's just any land, which is something you don't see a lot in land destruction spells.
Right. Yeah, it lets you keep the pressure on because of its repeatability and maybe
keeps the pressure on.
Catch up or like turn the tide slowly with repeated use. I'm just, for 4 mana, like
that's what kills me. So let's move on to the last of the Punisher spells from the Odyssey block. This is another dwarf, Alex. Well, actually, no. I don't know if it's a dwarf or if it scorches dwarfs. It might be a dwarf that scorches other things. Are you
typing Dwarven Scrotum?
I wish. Dwarven Scorcher.
Scorch.
Scorch. Oh, I'm doing R. Scorcher. I'm doing an R.
What are you doing?
Dwarven Scorcher. Dwarven Scorcher, Alex. Dwarven Scorcher.
I think I've seen this.
You have, and I'll remind you when you saw it. This is 1 red. It's a creature dwarf. It is a dwarf. He scorches other things, and he's 1/1. And the card reads: sacrifice Dwarven Scorcher. Dwarven Scorcher deals 1 damage to target creature unless that creature's controller has Dwarven Scorcher deal 2 damage to him or her.
Okay.
It is a common from Judgment. Are there any reprints? Of course not. It has a current market price of 25 cents and a gather rating of 2.83. Alex, you were like, oh, I think I've seen this card. This is when you saw it. a month and a half ago, I was digging through bulk bins when I was first putting together my Punisher spells. And I found this and I got irrationally excited when I found this terrible card in a bulk bin because I was like, I can take out my Mog Fanatics and put this piece of shit in because it's thematically appropriate. It's a strictly worse Mog Fanatics, but it's the perfect one drop to swap my Mog Fanatics for in a Punisher burn deck. That being said, I chickened out and I didn't swap it for Mogs in my Punisher burn deck because I don't want to lose every game. I don't need to win every game, but I don't want to lose every game. It's too bad to even play in bad burn, is my opinion. It was too bad.
Yeah, you're right. The Punisher decision on this card, it starts to get more giving your opponent the decision starts to get more lopsided, I feel like, with this because the consequences are so small that they're still always going to pick the right one for them. And that means like you're basically doing nothing with this.
Yeah. Just at the beginning of the game, the Mog Fanatics, there are too many important things that I actually need to kill with one damage early on. And I need to know I can get them. I need to know I can do at least one damage to a specific thing.
And they're just going to take the 2 damage early on, so it doesn't help.
They're going to take the 2 damage, and they're going to keep their Goblin Lackey. And then it's not even going to be a game after that because they're just going to mow me down in 4 turns. It's not even going to be any fun.
Yeah.
I'm not even going to get to have the fun that I want to have with the Punisher deck where I get to have my opponent like think about multiple decisions to make. They're just going to think about this one decision. They're going to very clearly make the right decision. I'm going to be dead 3 turns later.
Yeah.
So that's Dwarven Scorcher, Alex. If you have, and that's the end of the true Odyssey block Punisher cards. If you have nothing to add to any of those spells, Alex, we're going to get onto the other class of Punisher spells. So I guess it's time for segment 2. Segment 2, I have titled all of those other Punisher spells. I found all of these other Punisher spells on MTG Wiki, which I showed earlier in the episode. There are more than I expected. So we're focusing only on the old frame Punishers and only on the rares and uncommons. So I'm starting with white. And in white, you don't have much, but you do have one card from the dark. And that card is called Cleansing. I will say it's not a true Punisher card because the caster has to make the same decision themselves. So, your opponent has to make a decision here, but then you also have to make the same decision. Cleansing is 3 white. It's a sorcery, and it reads, all land is destroyed. Players may prevent cleansing from destroying specific lands by paying 1 life for each land they wish to protect. Effects that prevent or redirect damage may not be used to counter this loss of life. It's a rare from the dark. It's a reserve list spell. Current market price of $10.84 and a gather rating of 3.84.
Whoa.
I was looking through Regatherer to see what people had to say about this spell. And Maginara said on February 1st, 2009, casual Johnny card of low power level. Translate this text into each player loses a chunk of life. Might be fun in a casual multiplayer game if played in multiples, but don't forget to add life gain to your own deck. Because again, you have to make this decision as well.
Yeah, it hits you too. I was gonna say Commander, it might be a little more interesting in, a multiplayer game.
A good way to get everybody mad at you.
Yeah, I really like this card because of the art. I think it's a really pretty card.
I know, I love it too. I want to get a copy just because of the physical
That's
item.
how I felt about it. And it was it was selling for more during some crazier times years ago. And I can't remember if I got one. I think maybe I just held out because I didn't want to pay $20 for it, but I'm gonna pick one up eventually or more than one because I just like how it looks.
Yeah. It is a way to push damage in white, right? So, Armageddon is a classic card from white. It's a great card. You play Armageddon because white has the ability to get ahead in the early game because of all the weenies you can play out for 1 and 2 mana. And the idea has always been, get a few weenies out, establish a board state that's more significant than your opponent's board state, and then you Armageddon, blow everything up. By the time your opponent gets enough land on the battlefield to be casting spells again, they're going to be dead already because you're just going to swing a few times with your weenies. You can't necessarily do that with cleansing because they'll just take the damage instead. But there might be some edge cases where you want a way to push damage. And this is a way to push damage in white.
Yeah.
Just it doesn't see much play because, one, it doesn't definitely do the thing that Armageddon is so good at doing. And then also white just has a horde of weenies that already deal damage quite efficiently. So, but it is a beautiful card and a piece of Magic the Gathering history. That's it in white. White's not big on even the faux Punisher spells. So we're going to move on to blue. And in blue, you have an interesting spell, in my opinion. Either Storm, a card that I know we've talked about on this podcast before. It is 3 colors, 1 blue. It's an enchantment, and it reads, no summon spells may be cast. Any player may pay 4 life to bury Either Storm. Effects that prevent or redirect damage cannot be used to counter this loss of life. It's an uncommon from Homelands. It was also reprinted in 5th edition. There's a current market price of 25 cents and a gather rating of 3.31. There was a comment.
Edition 2 as well.
I think this is just an online printing. I think. I'm not always clear on what the online printings are, but I believe this is an online only printing. And then, of course, a promo.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure I remember pulling some of these from Homelands. I mean, it's damage in blue.
It's damage in blue.
Because they're, if they're, creature based, they're gonna have to pay to get rid of it or deal with it somehow. Be nice if it was less mana.
That is true. That's true about many spells. I found a comment about this on Gatherer left by Doage and on June 24th, 2013. The card is good alongside Burn, no doubt about it. When your win con isn't creatures and theirs is, they aren't going to be happy about seeing this hit the field. One of Homeland's better cards, along with Merchant Scroll, which might also deserve to be in a blue burn deck. So yeah, it's a way to do damage in blue, like you said. And something that always looked interesting to me for sort of unusual counter burn decks. I know for a fact that I spent many nights on my living room floor laying out red-blue counter burn decks that contained Either Storm, and I'm almost positive it was a deck that I never actually played. It just doesn't pack enough of a punch. Again, this is a theme with some of the Punisher spells. Doesn't pack enough of a punch for its mana cost. So like 4 mana to cast this just doesn't justify running it over another burn spell.
Yeah, or like a creature that can keep attacking them or something. Like I played counter burn for a pretty long time, but it was before Homelands, so I didn't try to mess around with this at all. I think by Homelands I had moved on to different decks.
I've always been drawn to this card though. I think some of it is just the off-color pie effect, and some of it is definitely the art.
Yeah, it's cool. The art's cool. I mean, I don't dislike the effect either. It's like a fine effect. It's just like not quite, balanced enough.
And I think some of it is also just, you just want to get some Homelands cards to work. You just want to do something with all these Homelands cards you were opening. So you're like, okay, this is one of the better spells in Homelands. So let me just try to do something with it. I can't only play Autumn Willow. I can play Joven's Ferrets. Maybe I can play Either Storm. The flavor text, I do love the rain, but this storm feels somehow wrong, Taser, says Daria. I don't know who Daria is. I wonder if they ever filled in her lore in future sets.
Foreboding.
On to the next spell, Alex. Oh,
Blue?
And just talking about Either Storm, why this is considered a faux Punisher card? Because they take damage or they lose a creature. Take damage or lose a creature. They decide. Or not lose a creature. Take damage or have a creature sit in their hand because they can't cast it. That's the decision they have to make there. Do I want to cast my creature? If so, I have to take four damage. Energy Vortex. This is the next blue faux Punisher card. It's 3 colorless, 2 blue. It's an enchantment. It's the kind of spell I don't like because there's so much text and I got to read a bunch of text on the podcast. It states, when you play Energy Vortex, choose target opponent. At the beginning of your upkeep, remove all energy counters from Energy Vortex. You're like, what the fuck? How does he get an energy counter? During chosen opponent's upkeep, he or she pays 1 colorless for each energy counter on Energy Vortex, or it deals 3 damage to him or her. Still, what the fuck's an energy counter? How does it get an energy counter? Now we finally get that information. Pay X, put X energy counters on Energy Vortex. Use this ability only during your upkeep.
The 4th clause should be the 2nd clause.
Yes, that's true. I agree. It's a rare from Mirage. It is a reserve list spell. Current market price of 80 cents. A gather rating of 3.57, which is way higher than I thought it was going to be. Why is it so high? Is it because people like running the spell, or is it just because they like the art? It does have a giant minotaur crypt walking in space. That's what I see.
Seawalk, homie.
Seawalk, homie. Cons, too much text. I'm automatically uninterested. High casting cost. You have to get 5 mana just to cast this card.
Yep.
Next con, it doesn't do anything the turn you play it.
No.
Next con, it's perpetually mana hungry. You can pay mana during your upkeep. Untap upkeep, so then you can't do shit. You got to pay the mana during your upkeep.
Right.
Only to potentially deprive your opponent of having the same amount of mana available. Not more mana, but the same amount that you paid during their upkeep.
Yeah.
Or they can be lightning bolted. And you need to pay for it every upkeep if you want it to have an effect. I'm shocked that this has a gather rate of over 3.5. I don't know if I'm missing something. Is there something crazy that people do with this card? I said, what a Johnny card.
A way you could dump a ton of mana into it, yeah, and then
dump a ton of mana into it. So I said, what a Johnny card. You have something to do if you have a massive land advantage.
Yeah.
But here's the problem. When you design a deck that often gives you like a massive mana advantage, there's so many really good things to do to just like definitely kill your opponent that don't involve Energy Vortex from Mirage. This is a crazy card.
Yeah. I don't know. I'd like to see. This is one to look up on Regatherer, and see what people from back closer to the era thought about it and how they used it.
They rated it way higher than I thought they would, 3.57.
I mean, I could definitely see how something could let you use this, and
here's
all
what
of a sudden they're worried about taking 21 damage or 33 damage or something,
Here's what some person says. Urza lands. This. Sunder. Exploration. I mean, if I have Urza lands out and I have Tron and I can make a bunch of mana, there's a whole ton of shit that I could rather do. Exploration. I could play more lands, get more lands, get more mana. There's a whole tons of shit I would like to do.
Basically, yeah.
So I don't know. There's other spells that I'm not familiar with that people mention. Eon Hub, Paradox Haze, Eon Hub for you. Eon Hub is an artifact printed in, I'm not even sure what set this is yet, Dark Steel or something. Pay 5, artifact players skip their upkeep steps.
Getting to a lot of mana now, though.
Yeah, 5 mana.
Someone said Mana Web down here, which I like. I like that.
Just sort of an annoyance on its own. But play this on someone already affected by a mana web and give them a more difficult choice. Add in a psychic venom or equivalent. They're pretty much damned if they do, damned if they don't. That's crazy. That's crazy, Johnny. Mana web.
I like
whenever any land target opponent controls is tapped for mana. Tap all lands he or she controls it. Okay. I couldn't remember if mana web applied to your lands too, or if it was just your opponent. So maybe a mana web Energy Vortex type deck, where if they decide to tap any of their lands and all their lands get tapped, if it can produce the same type of mana that land can produce. It's a lot. I'm still surprised it's rated over 3.5. I gather.
Works great with Braid of Fire, says.
Yeah.
I'm not sure I know what Braid of Fire is.
That is I remember it's a Cold Snap card.
Oh, okay.
from our Cold Snap episode, and it might have something to do with mana burn, so it's not as relevant any longer, but I could definitely be wrong about that. Was it Braid of Fire? Yes. 1 colorless, 1 red, enchantment, cumulative upkeep. Add red to your mana pool. I don't know why I thought mana burn. So you get a bunch more red. I know why I was thinking mana burn. Because this card became much better when you didn't have mana burn in the game any longer.
Yeah.
Also, Alex, side note, I'm buying Cold Snap cards now.
You're buying what?
Cold Snap cards now. There are a couple guys in town to play Alliances, Ice Age.
Yeah, I should
Snap.
look at Cold Snap cards. That's a more modest goal for me than the move into Legacy, or was it Classic Legacy?
Classic Legacy. We talked about it before too. We just never bust out any Alice stuff, Ice Age Alliances, and then just to add a little bit more to that card pool, it's fun to bring in some Cold Snap. Anyways, side note, Alex. Next blue faux Punisher card is Library of Latnam. Library of Latnam.
I like anything Latnam personally.
4 colorless, 1 blue. You don't like anything Latnam, or you do like?
No, I do.
Okay.
Old Antiquities Latnam cards.
I can't even remember.
I remember this. I remember the name of this card, but I do not remember what it does.
You said Old Antiquities Latnam cards, though. What does Latnam have in the Antiquities? I can't remember.
I can't remember what any of them are called now. I have to look at one of my artifact decks or something. Sage of Latnam.
Sage of Latnam, that's right.
I keep forgetting.
I forget all these spells. Sage of Latnam, that's right. That's the big one. That's a blue creature. 1 colorless, 1 blue.
Yeah, it lets you draw. You can sack artifacts to draw cards.
Sack an artifact. Tap it. Sack an artifact to draw a card.
Yeah.
Library of Latnam is 4 colorless, 1 blue. It's a sorcery, and it reads, target opponent chooses 1. You draw 3 cards at the beginning of the next turn's upkeep. So your opponent gets to choose. Do you draw 3 cards next upkeep? This was the era of slow trip, so he's had to wait to draw your cards.
Yep.
Or search your library for a card, put it into your hand, and then shuffle your library. It's a rare from Alliances. It has reprints in 6th edition. That's it. Current market price of 42 cents and a gatherer rating of 2.93. I look at this card and I just think option 1, a delayed Brain Geyser for 3. Option 2, a demonic tutor for 5.
For 5, yeah. It's a draw 3 or tutor, and it's 5 mana, so it's like, I don't know. There's so many other things in blue that can do this kind of stuff.
Exactly. Never gets any play. Latnam is about to bash that man in the back of the head with a book, give him CTE. They're moving on to the next.
He's not going to hit him. He's stealing the book.
No, he's bashed him in the head with the book. Mind Bomb, Alex. That's the next one. Now we're talking.
Yeah.
We're back to a card that I enjoy.
Yeah. Dark
Mind Bomb is 1 blue. 1 blue. It's a sorcery, and it reads, Mind Bomb deals 3 damage to each player. All players may discard up to 3 cards of their choice from their hand. Each card a player discards in this manner prevents 1 damage to that player from Mind Bomb. It's a rare from the dark. Reprints in 4th edition and 5th edition. Current market price for the dark printing is $4.77. Has a gather rating of 3.83. Like Either Storm, another card I'd like to get to work, and an old frame red-blue counterburn brew. But this card's also interesting because it's a spell that can get 3 cards into your graveyard on turn 1. I never play graveyard decks, but this seems like a thing that many graveyard decks would like to do. Because the caster also gets to, it's lose cards or take damage. You get to choose.
Yeah.
Your opponent chooses, but then you also choose for this one, similar to cleansing.
Yeah.
Why does it not see any play?
Like a disadvantage to them and an advantage to you at the same time for 1 mana, which is a nice swing.
Why does it not get any play? Well, Putrid Imp also can get multiple cards into your graveyard turn 1, I believe. So there's just other options, at least in pre-modern. Careful Study can get 2 into your yard and can draw you 2. but none of them have the suicide blue flavor that this one has. I like this.
Yeah, I never think to use this in pre-modern. I forgot about the fourth and fifth edition printings. But maybe I should try it.
It has sick fucking art.
Yep.
This looks like an Either Storm going on up here, and the Mind Bomb is dropping out of the Either Storm. Same artist, Mark Tadine.
Coming right out of that Either butthole.
A brain, a mind, encapsulated like a bomb coming out of an Either Storm. Soul Barrier is the next one, Alex.
Oh,
I love Mind Bomb. Like Cleansing, Mind Bomb is another card that I very much enjoy just as a physical object.
Yeah.
In addition to a spell in a game. Next, we have Soul Barrier. This is 2 colorless, 1 blue. It is an enchantment, and it reads, whenever target opponent casts a summon spell, Soul Barrier deals 2 damage to him or her. That player may pay 2 colors to prevent this damage. So this is along the lines of Either Storm, another enchantment in blue that doesn't necessarily prevent your opponent from casting summon spells, but makes it more difficult for him or her to cast summon spells by either dealing damage, similar to how Either Storm does, or in this case, making them pay more mana to cast their creature spells.
Yeah.
It has a reprint in 5th edition. It's an uncommon from Ice Age. Current market price for the Ice Age printing, 50 cents. A gather rating of 4.04.
Really?
That's higher than I expected, Alex.
Me
That's
too.
higher than I expected. That being said, I don't hate the card. I don't hate it. There are blue spells like this that better control your opponents or creatures if you're playing a control game. This is
propaganda.
Propaganda, exactly. But in a counterburn deck, this could be a source of repeatable damage. Also, if they don't take the damage, it slows their ability to play the creatures, giving you more time, more turns to deal the damage if you're playing a counterburn deck.
It may be a little less protective, but it's also has the potential to do damage, which can be helpful.
Yeah.
I remember this card from back in the day, and I remember, thinking like, oh, I'd like to, try this, do something with it. It always just seemed like a little weak.
I'm surprised by its high rating, but it's an interesting card, and maybe in some underpowered formats. Maybe this is something to try to think about brewing with in Ice Age alliances.
Yeah.
With or without Cold Snap. I have to think about
that. Remembering the power level of that, era of cards, like for sure, I feel like you could, get something going with this.
Soul Barrier is the last of the blue Foe Punisher spells that we're going to discuss. On to black, Alex. We're doing the Wooburg.
There's a lot of
went
black.
Through Woo. Now we're going to B. First one we're going to talk about. Cursed Artifact.
Oh, from the
Cursed
dark,
Artifact. Another one from the dark. This is 2 colorless, 2 black, enchant artifact. And it reads,
you know what I'm going to say about this already. Sorry.
During his or her upkeep, controller of target artifact may choose to bury target artifact. So you enchant an artifact, the controller can choose to bury the artifact. If the controller does not choose to bury the artifact, cursed artifact deals 2 damage to him or her. So take damage or lose your artifact. And it's an uncommon from dark. The dark has no reprints. Current market price of 86 cents, a gather rating of 2.66. It's not reliable as artifact removal, and it doesn't deal enough damage for 4 mana. That's my opinion for this card.
It's just too much mana.
It's just too much mana.
It has a sweet picture.
It has a sweet picture, Alex, from the Annals of Gatherer. Hovercraft, September 4th of 2010, gave this card 5 stars, and he said, I own one of these. It is beautiful but useless. I like looking at it. And just like Mind Bomb, just like Cleansing, although those are less useless than Curse Artifact. That's honestly a valid reason to own old cards. You just like looking at them. Yeah. And again, it's Mark Tadine art.
The color of this card is the only thing that is like this is cards from, like Alpha Beta Unlimited and, 4 Horsemen sets. Like you don't see that like rich, saturated look like that. It's beautiful. It's
a beautiful physical object. I don't play it though.
And I don't hate the effect. Like what it does is, so if you're playing black, you already don't have artifact removal like in old school.
That's true.
So this might give you some artifact removal, so that's fine. But it keeps ticking for 2, which is good too. So I would be happy to play it if it just didn't cost 4 mana. I want the, don't cost 4 mana.
Stop costing 4 mana. You do have a warp artifact as an option, which is just
I
2
like
blue.
this more.
Yeah. They can't choose to get rid of it. Then everybody likes this more. This does
like
see some play. And it looks like a stretchy
demonic
pizza.
Time.
Send a message to Amy Weber. Ask her if this is, in fact, a stretchy pizza. With what? What did you say after stretchy pizza?
I said of demonic time because
Of
it kind of looks
demonic
like
time.
clock too. Like
It does look like
they're like demonic runes instead of numbers.
That was my assumption, that it was some sort of device to tell time, and it's being warped.
It's being
because
warped.
the
It used to be a
spell,
clock, and now it's
because this-
undergoing cell division.
well, the spell warp artifact has been cast on it. This
Yeah.
was an artifact that was developed by maybe Latinam, who knows? Maybe some of the others, Urza,
Moth.
could be Urza's. No, I'm imagining it like Urza.
Oh,
made it or
I see.
something.
I see. It was benign at first. Yeah.
Yawgmoth comes along and he goes, and he casts a warp artifact spell on it, and now this is what you got.
Time to do some warping.
Anywho, Alex. Warp
like
artifact
warp
is not a finisher spell.
Ticking. 2 mana.
It's just
Keeps
decent.
ticking.
It's decent. Next foe punisher spell is not warp artifact. It is fatal lore. This is again 4 mana, 2 colorless, 2 black, sorcery. Target opponent chooses 1. You draw 3 cards, or you choose and bury up to 2 target creatures that opponent controls, and he or she draws up to 3 cards. It's a rare from alliances. No reprints because it's a reserve list spell. Current market price of 68 cents. Gather rating of 2.93. I read this again. I read it way back in the day when I was opening alliances packs, but I read it again last week, and I said to myself, this set of choices does not excite me.
No.
If my removal is not going to be reliable, I at least need it to deal a shit ton of damage, a la Breaking Point. Breaking Point was the red Punisher spell that removes all creatures or destroys all creatures or does 6 damage. If you're not going to be reliable in removing their creatures, I need you to do a shit ton of damage. I need you to put me within striking range of another burn spell.
Well, I mean, just do something better. Like
do something.
For starters, everything after the word "and" at the end should be gone. And he or she draws up to 3.
Yes.
If you took that
Unnecessary.
away, and it was a choice that they get to make between losing 2 creatures and you drawing 3, it would still not be great for 4 mana. Right?
Yes, and they just made it unnecessarily bad.
Yeah. I feel like I don't know. Maybe
he or she
fair at 4 mana without that part, but I still would want it to be like 3 or to, I don't know.
Yeah, no, and I can't even think in black, like why there's not even really I can't even think of any case right off the top of my head where you would like want them to draw the cards. Not even like you're playing a black Vice deck. Black decks aren't usually black Vice decks. So it's just going to be like 2 good things for them to happen.
Yeah.
There are 2 good things to happen to them here. No. It's 1 bad thing, 1 good thing. They lose the creatures. Or you choose and bury up to 2 target creatures that opponent controls and he or she. So they'd still lose the creatures, but then they get 3 cards.
Yeah. And you had to pay 4 mana.
And you had to pay 4
mana.
Yeah. I don't play it. I'm not playing it. I'm not going to do it.
No.
Not many other people do too. But this next spell is not as bad. Forbidden Rituals. Forbidden Ritual is 2 colors, 2 black, sorcery. It reads, sacrifice a card in play, : target opponent loses 2 life unless he or she sacrifices a permanent or chooses and discards a card. You may repeat this process as many times as you choose.
Okay.
It's a rare from Visions. No reprints because it's reserve list. Current market price of $1.04 and a gather rating of 3.40. This doesn't see much play, but it is a decent finisher if you have more cards in play and more cards in hand than your opponent.
Yeah,
So if you can gain card advantage.
I would fool around with it. Am I right in assuming you cannot sacrifice a token creature to this because it says a card in play?
Correct.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay.
Correct.
So that's a limitation. But I mean, I don't know. I can see situations where you could, destroy some extra lands you have, or some small creatures that were helping you early game, or kind of pick some things with counters on them that are winding down, and now they don't mean as much to you anymore, like Gemstone Mine, etc.
Yeah, I was trying to think. When are these conditions met? When could this be a decent finisher if you have more cards in play and more cards in hand than your opponent? Well, I was thinking maybe this has a place as like a one of in a black-white control build. I'm not really sure. I don't play those that deck ever, so I can't think of like exactly what I would take out. But like a black-white control build does play discard. It plays board wipes. The game goes long, and this is important too. The game tends to go long. They tend to build up lots of land, so they have they run like land cyclers, like Exalted Dragon, not Exalted Angels. Eternal Dragon. So it's a spell where you can like plane cycle, and then it can be brought back into your hand and plane cycle. So sometimes when I play against those decks, they end up with a lot more mana than me, and thereby also end up with a lot more permanents on the board than me. The game. So in those cases where you just are able to build up, let's say 6 or 7 or 8 land, and your opponent has like 4 or 5. You already have more cards. You start to have more cards in play to sacrifice. So you could finish them. They either take a lethal or they stay alive and have to wipe their entire board.
Yeah.
Which is, if that's the case, you're probably going to beat them.
The tough thing is, like, first they get to decide whether it's permanence in play or discarding cards. So that gives them some flexibility.
That's the problem with Punisher cards.
But also black has lots of other finishers, and it has ways to generate a whole bunch of mana really fast to execute a finisher.
It does. Another case where they would be decent, or this spell would be decent. It can also be used to get rid of a card that you want to remove or need to remove from the battlefield. And that does happen sometimes in black. Graveborn Muse, Phyrexian Arena, things that are all of a sudden doing damage to you every turn. And you're like, oh shit, I'm in trouble. I need to get rid of it. For the creatures, you have spells like Cabal Therapy usually in your deck that help you sacrifice a creature if you need to get rid of that Graveborn Muse because it's going to become lethal for you. But I was thinking about cases where you might want to use this. Obviously, they're not incredible use cases, or else this reserve list rare from Visions would be more than $1.
Right. Still, I mean, for $1, probably worth picking it up.
At some point in the future, it will go up, spike up to like $4 or something. And if you want to flip it for $1 profit,
I could see figuring out some.
My guest
play this though. It does seem it's not terrible or anything.
It's not terrible. I agree.
What was its gather rating again?
It wasn't that high. It was below 3, I think. 2.8 something, 2.9 something.
Too bad.
Oh, I'm wrong. Damn, 3.40.
Okay.
I was confusing it with Fatal Lore, which is 2.93. 3.4.
I just have to brainstorm more about, the conditions of this card. Having lots of cards in play.
Tusker Rock. I'm just trying to think of any decks where you can land cycle and thereby build up like a bigger board state with more permanents.
Yeah.
Crows and Tusker can help you do that. Black-white control with Eternal Dragon can do that. Still. There's limited space in those decks for Forbidden Ritual. It just doesn't make the cut. Next Foe Punisher spell in black in Old Frame, Magic the Gathering. Grave Consequences. This is 1 colorless, 1 black, instant. It states each player may remove any number of cards in his or her graveyard from the game. Then each player loses 1 life for each card in his or her graveyard. Draw a card. So it's a graveyard removal spell, but your opponent gets to decide to take damage instead of removing the cards from their graveyard, which usually isn't great because usually if you want to be removing cards from your opponent's graveyard, you need to get them out. You need to get them out or else something really bad's going to happen that turn or the next turn. It's an uncommon from Judgment. No reprints. Current market price of 26 cents. A gather rating of 2.95. I do like that it's a cantrip. That's the one good thing I have to say about it. And it's also an instant, which is good. At a minimum, you could use it to at least shrink a Terravore by removing all of your lands from your graveyard and it replaces yourself. Is that good enough to make it into a deck? Not really. That's the best thing I could think to do.
Yeah. Get the lands out of your own graveyard. But other than that, I hate how much it affects your graveyard and in black as well. It's like, I don't want to be damaging my own graveyard state.
It's not that great
to them. Huh?
Not that great. Doesn't seem much play. Next spell. This is very highly rated on Gatherer, this spell. I've never played it, and I haven't yet played against it either. It is Lethal Vapors, 2 colorless, 2 black enchantment. It states, whenever a creature comes into play, destroy it. Or 0, destroy Lethal Vapors, period. You skip your next turn. Any player may play this ability.
Yeah, I've seen this card. I know this card.
So basically, it sits in play. While it's in play, every creature that comes into play dies. But either player, including your opponent, can choose to remove Lethal Vapors from the battlefield. And then if they do so, that player skips their next turn.
Yeah.
It's a rare from Scourge, no reprints, current market price of $8.66. So this does see some play. Gather rating of 4.22. Very high. The top cards, usually like the top 5 cards or fewer, have ratings that high on Gatherer.
Yeah, I've seen this and just haven't picked it up because it's been up in price a little bit, and I was like, I didn't want to, spend money on these without a clear need for it, but I probably should because it, I can see a use case for it. I like it. I have to compare it to the other sort of cards that do this kind of thing in blacks. There are some things that work similarly,
By which thing are you referring to? Preventing the creatures from coming into play?
Yeah.
Okay.
The first part, like control and control type enchantments that like affect creatures broadly. Pretty sure there's a few other things to look at.
Is there any way to continually bring this back from your graveyard? I don't know. I don't play combo. I don't love combo decks, to be honest. So I look at this, and just as a non-combo player, I'm just like, 4 mana, and your opponent skips a turn. That's what's going to be most of the time for me. But that can't be why it's almost $8, over $8, and it has such a high rating. People must be comboing with this to do something crazy. The pay 0 often triggers combo players, triggers their brain to think up weird things they can continuously, weird things they can do to go infinite in some way with a card. Every time I see a pay 0 : I'm like, okay, who's going to do something infinite with this spell? I don't know. But for me, I'm pretty much just like a linear kind of Magic player. I look for efficiency. I do 1 or 2 things. I pass the turn.
I like these small combos that, like
synergy. I look for synergy. This doesn't excite me. Next spell, Alex. Unless you have anything else to say about Lethal Vapors.
I don't. I have questions about it, but I don't think I have anything else to suggest other than, like you might see maybe some of the price has to do with Commander, but
could be.
Yeah, I'll try to remember to look up more on this card and see if I can find anything else.
Next spell is Limdol's Hex.
Yeah.
This is 1 colorless, 1 black enchantment. It reads, during your upkeep, Limdol's Hex deals 1 damage to each player. Each player may pay black or 3 to prevent the damage to him or herself. It's an uncommon from Ice Age. No reprints. Current market price of 47 cents and a gather rating of 3.28. I saw this and I thought this is a cute little Punisher spell that's asymmetrical in favor of the evil Black Mage.
Yeah. I like this. I've
Why?
looked at it before. Sorry, go ahead.
Why do I not think it's good enough? Because the punish isn't evil enough. The punishment isn't evil enough.
Yeah,
Just taking
the
one
damage
isn't
is
evil
too
enough.
slow. So
It's too slow.
yeah, you're penalizing yourself a little bit and them a little bit more mana wise, but the damage just isn't doing much to contribute. I've tried to think about pairing this with other, like repeated ticking type spells, but it's still slowing you down.
It's still slowing you down too. Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah. I do like pingers like you do. And I do like to hex my opponents. Like that. Those are the only positives, really, of the spell. Next one, Alex. We're moving on to the next one. Another Ice Age spell.
Okay.
Mind Whip.
Huh.
Mind Whip is 2 colorless, 2 black. I really love this art. Awesome Drew Tucker art. It's an enchant creature. And it reads, during target creature's controller's upstep. No, that's not what it says. It says, during target creature's controller's upkeep, he or she pays 3 colorless, or Mind Whip deals 2 damage to him or her. If Mind Whip deals damage in this way, tap that creature. It's a rare from Ice Age.
Yeah.
No reprints. And it has a current market price of 44 cents and a gather rating of 2.92. I love the art, but it's too much mana. I'll cast Paralyze instead.
So much mana, yeah. And also a rare, this should be an uncommon. Like, why?
This is the story of Ice Age.
Yeah.
That was one of my comments for this card. This is the story. A rare that costs way too much mana for its effect. That's the story of Ice Age. Next black spell. That's a faux Punisher spell in the old frame card pool. Pillar Tombs of Aku.
Ah.
2 colorless, 2 black, enchant world. During each player's upkeep, that player sacrifices a creature, or that player loses 5 life, and you bury Pillar Tombs of Aku. It's a rare from Visions. It is a reserveless spell. Current market price of $1.05. A gather rating of 3.42. When I first came back to Magic, Alex, and I was reminded of this card, I was like, oh, it's the Abyss. I can't afford the Abyss. It's like $1,000. I'm like, oh, it's the Abyss. And then you actually read the card and you're like, oh, actually, it's pay 4 mana to take 5 life from your opponent. Or it's 4 mana to eliminate 1 creature. And then it comes back to you. And then you have to make the same decision. That's Pillar Tombs of Aku, a reserve list rare from Visions. This just doesn't see much play. Doesn't make the cut. Next spell. More beautiful Mark Tadine art. He's on all these faux Punisher spells. This spell is Stench of Evil. It's 2 colorless, 2 black, sorcery. It reads, destroy all planes. Stench of Evil deals 1 damage to each player for each planes he or she controls that is destroyed in this way. Each player may pay 2 colorless for each 1 damage he or she wishes to prevent from Stench of Evil.
Oh, but it still destroys them.
It still destroys them. So they're this is a Punisher spell, and your opponent does get to make a choice, but they're still losing their planes. Then they just get to decide whether or not they want to pay the mana or take damage. Which they're just going to pay the mana if they still have planes available to tap, because the planes are going to go to the graveyard anyways.
Right? Yeah, they'll use any untapped planes to help pay.
Uncommon from Ice Age, no reprints. Current market price of 31 cents, a gather rating of 3.93. I look at this card and I think this is a beautiful color hate card with beautiful art.
Yeah, this is not a bad color hate card, and I'm surprised it's an uncommon because I don't see it very often. and I'm not that familiar with it.
Another comment, mass land destruction for black, which is big, but it's only against its enemy color. So it's a pure sideboard card. It destroys lands and potentially, at least, deals damage at the same time. You play it when your opponent's tapped out to ensure they deal with both of the downsides. I saw a comment from the Annals of Gatherer. Tank the Best back in 2013 said, screw mono white, the card. That is very true. This is a pure old schoolish color hate card.
Yeah. Mono white sideboard card. Pretty cool though.
Next spell. Tainted Spectre. This is 3 colorless, 1 black. It's a summon specter. It's a 2/2. It reads flying. 1 colorless, pay 1 colorless and 2 black, then tap. Target player chooses a card from his or her hand and then chooses either to discard that card or put it on the top of his or her library. If the card is discarded, Tainted Spectre deals 1 damage to each creature or player. Play this ability as a sorcery. It's a rare for Mirage.
Each creature and player.
Each creature and player. It is reserve list. Current market price of 51 cents. A gather rating of 3.27. I think this is, again, like many of these cards, a card that you have just because you like the art. It's way too mana intensive to discard a card of your opponent's choice. Way too mana intensive for that. You might want it to put something on the top of your deck, but still too mana intensive. Because you could target yourself. Target player chooses a card from his or her hand, then chooses to either discard the card or put it on top of his or her library. So very niche case use. I'm not even sure what that niche use case would be.
Well, like if someone's going to cast a discard spell on you, you could, in response, put something
and you have
on top of your library to protect it, right?
And you have 3 mana open.
Yeah.
And you're not attacking with your 2/2 flyer.
Yes.
Because you're just keeping it untapped in case somebody.
Yeah, and that's the problem because it has evasion, so you're going to attack with it. That's what you want to do, right? Like, it has the overpriced ability that involves tapping.
Yeah.
But a really cool picture.
Really cool picture, illustrated by Chippy, but it's a weak specter.
Yeah.
So we're going to move on to the next one, Alex. Next Foe Punisher spell in black.
Keep it rolling.
Turok's Chant. Turok's Chant. This spell is 1 colorless, 2 black, enchantment, and it reads, during your upkeep, pay black, 1 black, or bury Turok's Chant. Whenever a player puts a forest into play, Turok's Chant deals 3 damage to him or her unless that player puts a -1/-1 counter on a target creature he or she controls. Beautiful Fallen Empires era, Richard Kane Ferguson art. It's an uncommon from Fallen Empires. I have that it's a reserve list. I'm not sure if that's true or not, but I think it is because it's only been printed in Fallen Empires. Current market price of 19 cents, a gather rating of 2.91. I put this into the category of Punisher spells that is just not punishing enough. I think they just keep playing the forest and accept a few -1/-1. Whenever a player puts a forest into play, Turok's Chant deals 3 damage to him or her, unless that player puts a -1/-1 counter on target creature he controls. Not even all their creatures.
To be on all creatures they control.
That would be different.
Which would be better.
That'd be different.
Because if they can have like one creature be like a chump absorber for this, you know what I mean?
Yep.
They have a wall of ice. They can just keep putting -1/-1 counters on their wall of ice.
Or it's like if they play a wall of ice, they could do
that. I love wall of ice.
Or it's like turn 6 and they don't need their 2 or 3 elves any longer. So lose an elf 1 turn, lose an elf another turn. It's just not punishing enough. -1/-1 counters on all creatures, then we start to get interesting. Next spell, we're still in black, Alex. This is the last of the Foe Punisher black spells that are either rare or uncommon in the old frame card pool. Unnatural Hunger. Unnatural Hunger. It's 3 colorless, 2 black, enchant creature at the beginning of the upkeep of enchanted creature's controller. Unnatural Hunger deals to that player damage equal to enchanted creature's power unless he or she sacrifices another creature. It's a rare from Acadian Mask. It's reserve list. Current market price of $1.36 and a gather rating of 3.41.
Oh,
I
wow.
read this and I thought it Lord of the Pitifies a target creature. It Lord of the Pitifies target creature. Deals
Yeah.
to that player damage equal to enchanted creature's power unless he or she sacrifices another creature. So that's exactly what it does. I'd like to strap it to a Dreadnought, but here's the problem. You won't survive long enough to cast it. It's 5 mana.
Yeah.
That's the problem.
That's the thing. It's like they can keep sacrificing small things for a while, maybe, depending on what their deck is like. Not in Dreadnought, didn't really be, like I would like it if it just didn't have that second part,
But it does.
because it's 5 mana already.
And that's the problem. Yeah. It's 5 mana and it has that second part. Okay. Now onto the red spells, Alex. We've made it through the woob of Wooburg. First red spell I want to talk about is Heat Wave.
Ah.
2 colorless, 1 red, enchantment, cumulative upkeep of red, 1 red. Blue creatures cannot block creatures you control. Non-blue creatures cannot block creatures you control unless their controller pays an additional 1 life for each blocking creature. So your opponent's decision is, can my creature not block, or do I take 1 damage? That's kind of an easy decision to make. If the unblocked creature is going to deal more than 1 damage, then you just block.
Yeah, the math just makes the decision for you, depending on the attacker, But
it's an uncommon from Visions, no reprints, current market price 24 cents, gather rating of 3.28. I ain't paying all that mana just to make my creatures conditionally unblockable, is what I had to say.
yeah, I was gonna say there's probably just like a better color hate spell to play than this.
Next one. The butterfly in the sky, I can go twice as high spell. Sirocco, 1 colorless, 1 red, instant. Target player reveals his or her hand to all players. For each blue interrupt card that player holds, he or she pays 4 life or discards that card. It's an uncommon from Mirage, no reprints, current market price of 33 cents and a gather rating of 2.79. This is a spell that I've actually seen in the sideboards of some pre-modern Punisher burn decks. But my thought is it usually just trades with a counterspell, right? Unless you hold it until they're tapped out. But if you don't, it usually just trades with a counterspell. I saw this comment in the Annals of Gatherer. This person had the same thought I had, and probably the same thought a lot of people have had. Opponent sideboards this in to punish your all spell blue control deck, right? That's when they bring it in. And they're like, oh, I know my opponent's going to have a lot of blue instants or interrupts. And then they say, okay, well, since my hand is all blue instants, I'm going to cast this 1 counterspell, which is why I think it just trades for the counterspell. That's pretty much the job of this spell.
I mean, they might opt to pay the 4 life so they can save the counterspell for something else, right?
If it's the only blue instant in their hand, but that's not why you want. That's not also not what you want Sirocco to do. Like you want to bring it in because you're like, I'm going to get a bunch of life for this card. So yeah, occasionally it could be 4 damage for 2. Occasionally,
yeah. Yeah, I don't know. I'm trying to decide how much I value getting to see.
Well, they're not. Hold on. They're not going to take the 4 damage because the spell reads each blue interrupt card that player holds, he or she pays 4 life or discards the card. I'd rather just discard the card.
Yeah. So if I cast it on you and you have 1 counter in your hand and you don't want to use it or lose it, you can pay the 4 life.
Pay the 4 life. You'd have to only have 1. Yeah. Okay. If they only had 1, because if you had 2, you definitely counterspell. You're not going to take 8 life. I guess you could take 4 and then discard it.
Yeah. If it's you might have a non-counter instant. that you want to get, wouldn't mind getting rid of or something. But that's pretty steep price to pay at that point.
Take 4 damage. Maybe they take 4 damage.
Care about seeing what's in their hand, because that's a small benefit.
That's a small benefit.
But
I never really care much about that.
I think you're right that it's just,
It usually trades with a counterspell.
Yeah.
They might want to keep the counterspell sometimes to take the 4 damage if they have something else that they definitely need to protect.
Yeah. And that
if
makes
that's
it worse
the case,
than just trading for a counterspell, right? Like then they have the decision to pay the life or not lose the counterspell. So yeah, I don't know. I'm not crazy about it, I don't think.
I've never put it into any of my sideboards.
At first look, I'm kind of like, ooh, okay, interesting. And then the more I think about it, I'm a little like, play something else, maybe.
Next spell, Torrent of Lava. This is 2 red X sorcery. Torrent of Lava deals X damage to each creature without flying. Each creature gains tap, prevent 1 damage to this creature from Torrent of Lava. It's a rare from Mirage, reserve list. Current market price of 80 cents and a gather rating of 3.31. I read this as it kills little guys, like a mini earthquake, or it taps their chump blockers.
Yeah.
If they're already tapped, they're definitely going to die. If they're untapped, they can choose to tap it and they keep it, but then maybe you can get through some chump blockers. I just look at this and I think it's definitely a worse earthquake, right? It's just a
earthquake. So wait, they're only going to save the creature if you spend less than 2 1x. Right? Like if you pay 2 or more for your X, then the tap ability won't save the creatures.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It prevents 1 damage.
Yeah.
But still, a definitely worse earthquake, right? I mean, because you have to pay 1 more mana just to do the same amount of damage because they can tap it.
Yeah, but your creatures get that ability too. So
situationally decent.
When their creatures are tapped, they can't do that, but yours can. So you get a lopsided earthquake then.
Yeah. But then you have to have creatures that have like the correct toughness.
Yeah.
To kill theirs and to keep yours.
Yeah. That's the same with earthquake. You're already doing that with earthquake. You're trying to balance it with like hitting your own creatures.
Most of the time you run it in a deck where you don't have a bunch of creatures to hit.
Yes.
Or you run beefcakes.
Yeah.
Usually not like 2 2s and 1 1s.
Yeah, but you're still doing some analysis maybe.
So I mean I would never run this over earthquake. Because it's just situationally better or worse. And in the cases where it's worse, I don't want it to be worse. I want to be able to do the specified or desired amount of damage to their creatures. It also doesn't deal damage to them.
True.
Which in that case doesn't deal damage to you too, but usually in a deck where I want to deal damage with earthquake, I have more direct damage.
Yeah, you're racing
a faster, more aggressive deck.
Yeah.
It's easier to outrace them. So I have no desire to play this card.
Yeah, I'm trying really hard, but
You're trying really hard. When you got to try this hard, I feel like it's probably not a good reason to run it. That's my guess.
Yeah.
Achilles' Elbow said, pretty decent, since you can cast it on your turn after your opponent has attacked. Situationally decent.
Yeah.
We're moving on to green. That was the last of the faux Punisher.
These are the ones I want to see the most, actually.
Argothian Worm. This is a really interesting card. I've fiddled around with it a little bit, but I've never actually sleeved it up in a deck that I've like brought to a meetup.
I like this. I have it in my red-green land destruction deck. I still don't know if that's smart or not, if it's worth it, but I do like it. It's pretty cool.
It's 3 colorless, 1 green, summon worm, 6/6. It has trample. When Argothian Worm comes into play, any player may sacrifice a land to put Argothian Worm on top of owner's library. It's a rare from Urza's Saga. No reprints. current market price of $2.42 and a gather rating of 3.89. I really like this card, but I've never played it outside of decks that I'm goldfishing on Moxfield. I think you have to pressure their mana base to make this good.
Yeah.
You run it in a land destruction deck, and I'm not sure what other cards to run with it. That's the problem. Like, I don't really know.
And the question is, it's like, you're like, oh, it's like the 6/6 trampler for 4 mana. That's awesome. It could be a great finisher for me, but it's mostly just going to turn into a land destruction spell for you, right?
Yes. And it's going to be a 4.
And then at that point, it's a 4 mana land destruction spell. So it has to be the afterthought to your already existing land destruction base that is more mana efficient. So I don't know how many of these I want to put into the land destruction deck or if I want to use it at all. But it's very tempting.
And it can't be your only or even your primary win con, because if it is, then you're in a situation where your primary win con is something that your opponent can like repeatedly remove from the battlefield. And the problem, the biggest problem I run into running this spell is it doesn't come back to your hand. It goes back to your top of your library.
Yeah.
So then you're losing a draw.
Well, you're fixing your draw, right? You're just changing what card your draw is and making it this every time. So if you're paying the 4 mana every time and they can't keep up with how many lands they're sacrificing, eventually they're going to run out of land, right?
I wouldn't call that fixing your draw, though, because not every time you're going to want to draw a land destruction spell.
Oh, I don't mean fixing as in improving. I mean fixing as in like cementing.
Okay, yes.
Yeah.
That's a problem sometimes. That's like a big problem.
Yeah, because you might need a different card. Yeah.
That's been the biggest downside to me for this card when I've just been fiddling around with it. Because sometimes after it's great, they know they've lost 2 lands, but then I really needed to draw something else because they just cast something with their few remaining lands that I need to deal with. And now I'm stuck on Argothian Worm.
So maybe the lesson is like it's not worthwhile until they're almost at the breaking point of how many lands they have left when they're
maybe
critically low.
Somebody mentioned this in Gather. I thought this was interesting. I play with Pandemonium and sacrifice my own land. So now we're getting interesting. Every time it comes into play, you deal 6 damage via Pandemonium. And you can purposely put it back on your own deck to deal 6 damage next turn.
Yeah.
That's our Argothian Worm. Now we're on to Thalon's Chant. There are only 2 old frame faux Punisher spells in green. Thalon's Chant. It's 1 colorless, 2 green enchantment. During your upkeep, pay green or bury Thalon's Chant. Whenever a player puts a swamp into play, Thalon's Chant deals 3 damage to him or her, unless that player puts a -1/-1 counter on a target creature he controls. Uncommon from Fallen Empires, no reprints. Current market price 22 cents. Gather rating of 2.59. I was putting together these notes, and it's not until just this moment when I'm realizing this is the green version of Torok's Chant, which we just talked about. It's the same exact. It's the green Torok's Chant.
Yep.
What did I say? Did I say something totally different about this card?
No.
I said not punishing enough. Color hosers need to be more brutal to win a spot in the 15. It's a sideboard
same thing
card.
You said about it. Yeah.
Okay, perfect. I'm at least consistent with my evaluations. The 2 cards that are essentially carbon copies of each other, but in opposing colors. We're on to the gold, Alex.
Oh, I forgot about the gold.
We have gold and we have artifacts to get through too. There's a little bit more. Either Rift is the first gold faux Punisher spell. This is 1 colorless, 1 red, 1 green enchantment. It reads, at the beginning of your upkeep, discard a card at random from your hand. If you discard a creature card this way, put that card into play unless any player pays 5 life. Interesting card to me.
It is interesting.
It's a rare from Invasion, no reprints, current market price of 58 cents, and a gather rating of 3.98. I've never played it, but it's enticed me. I've looked at it many times. As I've said earlier in the episode, discard a card at random is so difficult to deal with. So I don't love that.
Yeah.
I'm thinking, even though my creatures will take at least 5 life from your opponent, because if they don't want you to play the card, then they have to take 5 life. I typically expect my creatures to do more than 5.
I probably want the creature instead.
Yeah. Or they have a special ability. So I guess that says right there why this card doesn't really get much play. If I have the creature in my card for its damage dealing capability, I expect it to deal more than 5 over the course of its lifetime on the
Yeah.
battlefield, or I want it to have a special ability.
I feel like
So
it's
with
too much
either
to
rift,
manage.
too much to manage.
You have to be managing, your hand size and what card you have available to discard.
That's also true. Yeah.
And you have to be managing what type of creatures you have in your deck. And you have to be paying 2 different mana colors to cast it. And then they still might, prefer to pay the 5 life.
I think that's a good succinct rundown of why this card doesn't see much play. Still entices me.
Is it
This is a Minotaur.
Man?
I was gonna say I think it's a Minotaur. But then I was gonna say I have no idea what's behind it. Terravor? A Triceratops. Terravor, maybe.
A Kavu? I don't know what that is.
Oh, it could be a Kavu.
Weird toady thing.
First I thought it was a frog. And then I'm like, maybe it's a Terravor. Just far away. Next gold spell, Alex. Breath Stealer's Crypt. This is a reserve list card from Visions. It is 2 colorless, 1 blue, 1 black enchantment. Whenever any player draws a card, he or she reveals that card. So you get to see, everybody gets to see everybody's draw. If the card is a creature card, that player pays 3 life or discards the card. So you were talking earlier about, I can't remember exactly what you said. Just a few moments ago, we were talking about, what is it? Pillars of Aku? Aku Tombs of Pillar? Pillar Tombs of Aku? What's that card called, Alex?
Pillar Tombs of Aku?
Pillar Tombs of Aku. Okay. Pillar Tombs of Aku. This is another creature. This is another spell like similar to that. Doesn't have the same effect, but it's another spell that punishes your opponent for playing creatures. I'm often thinking about spells that I can play where like I play little to no creatures and my opponent plays creatures and I punish them for doing it.
Yeah.
Breath Stealer's Crypt. I've just never had a solid use case for it. I always think I want to do something with this, and I never end up building around it at all. Yeah, it is $11.39. It's a reserve list from Rare. Gather rating of 3.39. I said getting to see their cards makes your Cabal therapies better. That's a thing now.
That's a good point.
Play with Megrim, so they take more damage whenever they draw a creature.
Okay.
Or so they take some damage.
But that's getting down a 3 casting cost enchantment and a 4 casting cost.
And a 4 casting cost, and keeping them both down.
Yeah. It just seems like kind of a little too slow for me. 2 mana colors, 4 mana cost. It'll probably get hit with a removal spell really fast. Well, I can see how it could rack up, if you get it down and get it going, it could be effective.
But when I see these cards like Breath Stealer's Crypt, and when I say these cards, I mean like deal damage to my opponent for playing creatures or preventing them from playing creatures or something. My first thought in my head is, oh, this is going to be interesting for me to maybe put in a creatureless deck or a low creature deck, and it's going to be very punishing to a lot of my other opponents. But I forget that not everybody is like me and mostly plays like White Weenie or Stompy or Goblins. I bring those decks to meetups and I run into very few people that play like as many or more creatures than me. So these spells most of the time don't end up being nearly as punishing as I think they're going to be.
Down already.
They might have their creatures down already. This is true. Turn 4. 4 mana. Like you said, too much mana. Anyways, that's Breath Stealer's Crypt. Next, gold spell in the Foe Punisher old frame category.
Oh, more gold still. All right.
More gold as Essence Vortex, a card that people were very normal about in the Gatherer comments. It's a one colorless, one blue, one black. It's an instant. And it reads bury target creature. That creature's controller may counter this spell by paying the creature's toughness in life. This would be devastating to your big butt deck, Alex. Your creatures with fat asses, high toughness.
Yeah.
Effects that prevent or redirect damage control. No. Effects that prevent or redirect damage cannot be used to counter this loss of life. It's an uncommon from Ice Age, no reprints because it has naughty art on it. So they were like, we can't reprint this. Current market price of 33 cents, gather rate of 3.36. Few things for me to say about this card. Too many incredibly problematic, low toughness creatures out there that make this card essentially worthless, in my opinion. There's a lot of cards you're going to want to bury that they're just going to be like, whatever, I'll take the damage because this is a one toughness creature. And it's not punishing enough to even run in a kitchen table Punisher brew, in my opinion.
I think even as like a 5 toughness creature, they're going to pay the life. Like I'm going to pay 5 to like keep my 5/5 or 6/5 thing, you know?
Most of the time, yeah, you definitely are actually, yeah. What if it's a 2/7?
No.
Okay. What if it's a 4/7? What if it's a 3/6? What if it's part of the 3/6 mafia, Alex? What were the other unusual power toughness combinations we were talking about recently? There was the 3/6 mafia, but there was another one that you mentioned. I think I can't remember what it is.
I don't know.
You know
There's
what
so many.
Is there a 7-Eleven? There's no 7-Eleven.
7-Eleven.
Okay. Next
I do
gold
like they can target anything. Bury target creature. No color restriction. No artifact restriction.
That's true.
That's cool. But
that is true. And it's in colors that can't do that. Black, you usually have terror effects. And then blue, you usually like bounce effects, not barrier effects.
Yeah.
It's just not punishing enough.
The more you want to kill it, the more they want to pay the life to keep it. Probably.
Yeah. Not punishing enough. Misfortune is the next one. One colorless. Interesting casting cost here. One colorless, one black, one red, one green. Sorcery. It reads target opponent chooses one. You put a +1/+1 counter on each creature you control, and you gain 4 life. Or you put a -1/-1 counter on each creature that opponent controls, and Misfortune deals 4 damage to him or her. It's a rare from Alliances. It has no reprints. Current market price of $1.29 and a gather rating of 370. 3.70. I really like this one for a kitchen table Punisher brew. I really like this card. I think it's pretty cool. It can be a difficult choice if you have 3 creatures out. It can be a difficult choice.
Yeah, in the right situation, it can be effective. Tough mana cost.
Exactly. That was my first comment here. Tough casting cost. That's why it doesn't see play. It's a really tough cast.
And you have to have the right board state for it to work.
Yeah.
So I mean, that's like 2 pretty decent strikes. I've had one of these forever, like in the binder, you know, like, and I'm always like, oh, could I use this? And I'm like, yeah.
You could.
I could.
Tough casting costs. When you're playing 3 colors, it's like all of a sudden, now you have potentially the best spells from 3 different colors that maybe don't cost more than 1 pip of any particular color.
Yeah.
1 mana of any pip, to choose from, and then does a spell like Misfortune then make the cut there. You know, I don't know. Usually not. Usually it's got to be the best of the best to make it into a 3-color brew.
It would still be fun to play with, though. I mean, it's not. Yes. It's a cool card, and I could see you getting some use out of it. You know, a fair amount of times. It wouldn't. You know, sometimes it'd be a dead card. Sometimes it would be hard to cast, but it could be cool.
It's a fun kitchen table card.
And there could be situations where, like, you know, the counters you put on the creatures could completely change the balance of the game.
Yep. It is all their creatures. It's what we wanted a Torox chant and Thalon's chant to be.
Yeah.
It's not just a +1/+1 or a -1/-1 on target creature.
You could all of a sudden go from, like having 3 or 4 creatures that would all trade, to now having like 4 creatures that can kill all of their creatures, all at once. So
Phyrexian Tyranny is the next gold spell.
I like this one.
Again, we have another 3 colored gold spell. 1 blue, 1 black, 1 red. Enchantment. Whenever a player draws a card, that player loses 2 life unless he or she pays 2. So lose life or pay 2 mana.
Might be cool for Commander.
Some brutal flavor text on this one. Krovax to Urtai says, he is Yawgmoth's reward to me. I shall kill him 100 times a day. Psychopathic. It's a picture of Krovax with poor little Squee laying at his feet. He's murdered him already 100 times in a single day. Don't you have anything else to do with your time?
Yeah, like what other like duties are you neglecting?
Develop another, no, I was just say develop another hobby. Find another hobby. But forget about hobbies. Don't you have any duties?
Yeah.
Yawgmoth's not keeping you busy enough.
This is a drain on your overall forces.
If you have time to kill Squee 100 times every day,
that's like
you're not doing enough work.
Soldiers.
You're not doing enough work. It was reprinted in Double Masters 2022 in the list. Current market price of $1.37 for the original Plane Shift printing. Gather rating of 4.375. Poor little Squee. What else did I say about this? How does one take advantage of it? Wheel and deal, maybe? A very unexpected sideboard choice against Enchantress, maybe? I don't know. I said wheel and deal. I can't even remember what wheel and deal does, so let me look that up. Whenever a player, it's whenever a player draws a card, that player loses 2 life unless he or she pays 2. I think wheel and deal might be like discard the cards in your hand, draw the same number of cards. So it would have to be like, you'd have to have a low hand count, hand size, and they'd have to have a large hand size. Any number of target opponents each discards his or her hand. Oh, and draw 7. Draw a card. They draw 7. Any number. Target opponents. Oh, okay, so it's just the opponent. Okay. Because I was like, oh, it will hurt you instead. So yeah, you can make your opponent draw 7.
Yeah.
And if they don't
any
have
other kind of deck too, that's like a vice deck, that
vice decks, yeah.
Has effects that might make your opponent draw cards.
And wheel and deal is an instant, so you can make them draw 7 when they're tapped out.
Yeah, it's a good point.
Yeah,
because I keep focusing on the 4 mana for wheel and deal. I'm like, but being an instant is very nice.
Is wheel and deal legal? I think it is, and I think there's a card that I always get it confused with. It is legal. It's Windfall that I always get confused with. 2 colorless, 1 blue. Sorcery. Each player discards his or her hand and draws cards equal to the greatest number a player discarded that way. Wheel and deal is actually better in a Phyrexian Tyranny deck because only your opponent draws the cards, and it's an instant, so you can do it when they're tapped out. I think everything I'm saying is making sense there. I think. That's the end of the gold Faux Punisher cards, Alex. We're on to the colorless. The first artifact that is a Faux Punisher card is Barbed Wire. Barbed Wire. Alex, did you watch the movie Barbed Wire, starring Pamela Anderson when it came out in the late 90s? Did you watch that? I did not.
I don't think I did, no. It was pretty obviously going to be like a bad movie,
Barbed Wire is 3 colorless, artifact. At the beginning of each player's upkeep, Barbed Wire deals 1 damage to that player. You can pay 2 to prevent the next one damage that would be dealt to barbed wire this turn. So the choices here are take a damage or pay 2. It's an uncommon from Mercadian Masks. No reprints. Current market price $2.01. Gather rating of 2.47. Didn't have much to say about this. I just said it's one amongst many pingers. I prefer my pingers to deal their damage without my opponent being able to prevent that damage. That's all they're going to do.
The opponent can't prevent it, though. Only you can, right?
Oh. Maybe.
It doesn't say any player may.
It doesn't say
this ability or any player.
Yeah. So when
pay 2.
So when you have it in play, I think that's true. Unless it says any player, then I think that just refers to you. Barbed wire. Typing that into gather. Prevent the next one damage that would be dealt by artifact this turn. Doesn't really clarify it, but yes, I think you're right. I mean, if it doesn't say any player, then the ability can just be activated by the controller.
Yeah.
Of the spell. Yeah.
So I think now the issue then is that it's 3 casting costs probably, as opposed to, a similar type of card that might be 2 casting cost or 1.
You can use animate artifacts and make barbed wire attack your opponent. You can turn barbed wire into a creature known as barbed wire.
Barbed wire. Or barbed wire. See.
Just trying to settle a little argument. A friend I was playing against played the card and claimed that the option to pay 2 mana to avoid the damage was only available to him. Seeing as the card doesn't say that any player may play this ability, your friend and Alex, Old Mage Alex, is correct. Okay.
It says play with Lindell's Hex.
Yeah. And Pestilence. What? Prevent the next 1 damage that would be dealt by barbed wire this turn.
It's still like a linear kind of effect, though, and it's you're paying to prevent those as well. So
yeah. You're making that choice now. Do you take 1 damage or do you tie up 2 mana? Is that what you're saying?
Yeah.
Yeah. Most of the time, I don't want to tie up 2 mana. Umbilicus. This is the next one. This one gets me more excited. I actually bought 4 Umbilicus the other day. After putting together these show notes. I always like cards with this effect. I never bring them to any meetups because they're always so slow. But they're really fun to me because I get to do something every turn. It's a doing stuff deck. I like doing stuff decks. Umbilicus is 4 colorless artifact. During each player's upkeep, that player pays 2 life or returns a permanent he or she controls to owner's hand. So return a permanent to your hand or pay 2 life. It's a rare from Urza's Saga.
Card?
Huh?
Good for an Ornithopter deck?
Yes. Reprints and Dominator Remastered. Current market price of 80 cents for the Urza's Saga copies. Gather rating of 3.67. I love this card because I love bouncing cards with ETB effects. Keep me busy. I'm going to get to do stuff every turn. I'm doing stuff. Look at me. Like I'm advancing my board state. Oh, my board state's going back a little bit. Oh, but that's okay. I have an ETB trigger on this card. So I put it back and then your board state's back a little bit. These decks are too slow for tournaments, but they're fun for casual. I have fun doing this stuff. And yeah, you love 0 casting cost decks. So you can run this with ETBs where you want to get repeated uses out of the ETB, or you can just minimize your downside by running with 0 casting cost.
Or both.
Creatures. Or both. That's what I had to say about Umbilicus.
I want to know why Umbilicus is not an artifact creature.
It really... Well, okay. I was going to say it really should be, but here's one thought. This is the Umbilicus.
You think that's the Umbilicus? Okay, all right.
Yeah.
Accepted.
Could be. I think so. Umbilicus is an actual thing that I think divers use.
Oh, okay. It was the explorer's only tether to reality, it says.
Okay, yeah. So that is the umbilicus.
Neat.
Let me see exactly what umbilicus is. we're all born with an umbilicus, and then the doctor slices it in half, or our father slices it in half, and then we're untethered from the womb, Alex. We're released out into the world and we're lost until one day we all return to wherever the fuck we came from. I don't know. Umbilicus. Anatomy, umbilici. The depression in the center of the surface of the abdomen, indicating the point of attachment of the umbilical cord to the embryo. Navel. That's not what I'm looking for. Umbilicus. I swear I'm okay. Here's probably what I'm thinking. There's probably a word very similar to umbilicus that is a tether of some sort that divers use.
Oh, I totally believe you. It makes complete sense.
Yeah. I wish I just wish I could remember what it was called, and then I could. You know what? There's a good chance I learned this just the other day from a gatherer comment. I think that's actually might be the case. Not the other day, but like a month ago.
There you
Commercial diving. It's right here at the top. So I did read this. Commercial divers get their air through tubes called umbilicals. So I just needed to type umbilical into dictionary.com. Umbilical. Of or relating to the cord. So that's the cord and shit. Umbilical cord relating to umbilicus. Is dictionary.com still going to fail me? It still failed me. Why is this not on dictionary.com?
I mean, it's a like a specific
technical
niche
term,
usage in an area, but it's like a.
I'm still. I'm
very,
expecting
like, direct translation from the thing, so I can see why it like doesn't have a separate definition.
Oh, I can't. I'm expecting more from dictionary.com. Commercial divers get their air through tubes called umbilicals. If a diver stays submerged for too long, he or she will get decompression sickness. And to prevent this, the diver needs to return to the surface. Okay. This person built a control deck around umbilicus with ornithopter, phyrexian walker, shield sphere. That's exactly what you were saying.
That's exactly what I was thinking.
And then I use equilibrium. Okay, so equilibrium is a. Then I use equilibrium to replay the creatures and use them with trade run wider to return other permanents. So that's good too. So you can replay your permanents for free, and then they're also getting permanents bounced from umbilicus, and you're bouncing them for the trade run rider.
Yeah.
That you're activating by tapping your zero casting cost creatures.
Yeah. I like that.
Okay, interesting. Okay, I'm done talking about umbilicus.
Okay.
The episode's almost over, Alex. I think I got one more card to talk about.
That's good. I'm hungry.
And then I'm gonna go. And then I'm gonna go get a drink and I'm going to the grocery store. You're gonna eat hot dogs?
Yeah. I love hot dogs.
Where are you getting them from? Sheets?
Homemade. No, I'm making them home. I made sauerkraut earlier. There's a big pot on the stove.
Hold on a second. I said sheets because every day on my way to work, I pressed a big sheet sign that is advertising the big glizzy.
Oh God, I hate it when people say glizzy.
I thought that was over with. This billboard just showed up again like 2 months ago, and I actually had that thought too. I was like, oh my God, I thought we were done with that. But when you say homemade hot dogs, what are we talking here?
Well, they're
I need clarification.
Hot dogs from the store.
Okay.
I didn't grind them and like taste it myself. I just mean
okay.
I'm cooking them at home. As
I was wondering how
from sheets.
I was wondering all of a sudden how into your hot dogs you were getting.
No, not that into
it. That's umbilicus. Now we have the last one. This is the last of the old frame foe punisher spells. That we're going to talk about today. It is Wand of Ith. I've hated this card. I've hated this card for 32 years, Alex. Wand of Ith is 4 colorless. It's an artifact. And it reads.
Read the better text. Don't read the old text.
Pay 3 colorless. Tap. I'm reading the old text.
Ah, damn.
Look at one card at random from target player's hand. If the card is not a land, target player must choose either to discard it or pay an amount of life equal to its casting cost. So that's the decision your opponent gets to make. Do they punish themselves by discarding that card or by paying life equal to its casting cost? If the card is a land, target player must choose either to discard it or pay 1 life. Effects that prevent or redirect damage may not be used to counter this loss of life. Can only be used during controller's turn. That's some fuck ass shit right there, that last part. They made it even worse. Unnecessarily. It's an uncommon from the dark. It's a reserve list card. Current market price of $1.10. So we're talking a dark reserve list card that's only $1. You can tell nobody plays it. Gather rating of 3.67. My comments are just played Disrupting Scepter. That's what I did back in 1994. I just played Disrupting Scepter. There's also another thing that I have to say about this card that might be controversial. I don't mean to speak ill of the dead, because Quentin Hoover was one of the best to ever do it. I love Quentin Hoover arts so much. I've always hated the art on this card. There's something about this wizard sleeve that makes me so mad.
Really?
What is going on with this?
I've never really been able to
it's a mess.
Focus on the art enough to tell what it is. It's always just kind of register. It's never really registered appropriately for me. It's kind of abstract.
That's because it's a bad wizard sleeve. Even if it was you can make an abstract wizard sleeve that's still a solid wizard sleeve. This is not. I hate the effect. I hate the art. I hate everything about this card. This is a good note to end on with me full of hatred for Wand of Ith. Alex, I don't think I have anything else to say about the Punisher cards. I'll say, if you heard of any Punisher cards in this episode today that you would like to pick up, consider clicking our TCG affiliate link that you can find in the description below. You can get your Punisher cards. That's where I got most of my Punisher cards, from clicking F. Paloo's MTG's TCG player affiliate link. That's the one that I click every time I remember to click one. If you're out there and you're listening, you're like, I have a TCG player affiliate link too. Click mine sometime, Steve. Let me know. I'll click it. Just let me know where to find it. I'll click it. I place an order from TCG player about once a month, usually at the beginning of the month. Get most of my stuff there. Not all of it, but most of it. They make it easy. Especially when I'm trying to buy a bunch of cheap stuff, which is what I'm doing right now because I'm getting into a new format. Spoiler alert, people. I'm buying cards for Classic Legacy now. One of the things that's excited me the most about Classic Legacy is I get the feeling again of going through a new card pool and finding all sorts of cards that I'm like, ooh, that looks neat. That looks neat. I can get that for 25 cents. I can get that for 50 cents. I can get that for 75 cents. I can get that for 35 cents. Not as much of that available to me any longer in pre-modern. I picked up a lot of stuff that I want. Also, a lot of it has gone up. There's a bunch of cards that I did get for 50 cents back in the day, like just a couple of years ago when we started playing. Like Ravenous Balos. And all of a sudden, I can't do that anymore. And that still pisses me off, even though I got my play set. I have like 7 dumb decks I want to play Ravenous Balos in.
Yeah.
And the fucking Onslaught Ravenous Balos are $15 now. And you're like, oh, Steve, there's a bunch of reprints. I know.
And Tui.
Actually, so I was going to say I don't like the reprints. Actually, I forgot there's this dual deck reprint that has this old art, and it is a new frame. But this era of frame, in green especially, I still kind of like.
That's not bad, yeah.
So I'm sitting here complaining. I should just pick up some of these. I like this. I don't like this. This I don't like. I'm not buying that. That Baloth barely looks ravenous. It has a tiny little mouth. It can't swallow me whole. This Baloth still looks ravenous. It would swallow me whole. But Classic Legacy, there's a bunch of different cards that I want to get for like 25 cents here, 50 cents here. It's just so much easier to go through like an aggregator, for instance, like TCG Player, because you can't necessarily I can't go to Finch and Sparrow and necessarily pick up everything I need. They don't have anything available. So it's easier when you go through an aggregator. Cases
it's hard to find enough stuff from a specific vendor to put together an order sometimes.
Yeah. But that's about it. Thanks for listening to the end. Alex, do you have any Punisher card that we didn't mention that you want to mention?
No, no more Punisher cards. I was gonna
Listener,
say hot dogs.
do you have a favorite Punisher card that we didn't mention in this episode? Let us know. Maybe we'll mention it as a follow-up in the next episode. I don't know. Alex, do you have a favorite hot dog that you want to shout out?
Well, I like to like a southwestern dog, perhaps a Sonoran dog, you might call it. Like avocado, cheese, hot
Oh
sauce,
my God.
uh, like
Okay.
jalapenos. Kind of go that direction with it.
Okay, that's interesting. You took that in a different route. I was just thinking pure hot dog, like brand, blend, casing type. But you took it a different level. You're like how I want it dressed, like the
Yeah, yeah.
Chicago dog versus the Kraut dog
Yeah.
versus the chili
Seattle
dog. You got
dog
really
has, like,
fancy.
cream cheese, jalapenos, and onions, I think, sauteed onions. Pretty good.
I don't think I like cream cheese on anything other than a bagel.
Mm.
That's me.
I like mustard a
Cream
lot
cheese.
though, so I just go with like mustard a lot
Yeah.
of the time, or
That's what I do.
sauerkraut.
I never really got into these fancy dog places. There's a fancy dog place in town. They put all the sorts of
I
shit
don't
on
want
your
to put
dog,
Fruit
and then
Loops on my hot dog. I don't need Fruit
no,
Loops.
they don't do that. I don't think they might. I don't know, but I'm just talking about even the basic Chicago dog. There's too much stuff on it. I got a thing about foods that I can't comfortably open my mouth to
I don't
consume.
like when you give me a
Taking
real
bite.
tall burger like that, and I can't like, get my
It makes me
mouth around.
mad.
No,
It makes me
don't give me
pissed
that.
off.
Chicago dog, I'm cool with because I like how much produce they put on to add to the hot dog, and that's nice. A lot of hot dogs don't have.
Produce is nice, but just don't do too much. I feel like everybody does too much when they dress their dogs. I
Yeah.
want to be able to comfortably open my mouth and take a bite.
Sure.
I don't want to hurt my jaw.
No. You get the TMJ. You have
I can't be dealing with that. I got too many other problems
grinding.
going on physically in my life. I'm getting older. I got to protect my joints, including my something mandibular joint, trochlear mandibular joint, temporomandibular joint. That's what it is. Okay, Alex. Thank you for completing the Punisher episode with me. We're coming up soon with one of two other topics. It's either going to be Psychotog, which I've been teasing for a long time. I never get around to it, but I did actually start the Psychotog notes. It's going to be Psychotog. We're not going to cover all Psychotog. The Psychotog lore is vast. I'm going to start by learning about the initial Psychotog decks. What do people put in them and why? Then we'll expand our Psychotog knowledge later. It's going to be that, or it's going to be something about what do I buy in Classic Legacy? Because that's my current thing. Looking for cheap cards in Classic Legacy that are still bangers that maybe used to be highly priced, highly played. People kind of lost interest in them. They're forgotten gems. I'm looking for forgotten gems that I can pick up for Classic Legacy. I found some already, but I know there's more out there. I want to ask you, the listeners. But until then, it's going to be 2, 3, or 4 weeks from now. Until then, stay safe. And I love you, Alex.
I love you too.
Say it back. Oh, I'm glad you said it back. Thank you.
I ain't gonna do this anymore. That's all from me. Goodbye.